All right. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you out there? Welcome back to the show. This is the Free for All Thinker St. James here. And today we are going over all of the comedy and the tragedy, the lore of mixed martial arts. And to captain that ship, my good friend and co host, Chase Parton. How are you, brother?
I am absolutely amazing. I'm going to throw it in there sooner than anybody expected because I'm not having that great of a time, actually. I'm
Uh-oh.
having a good time, but
Oh
not the
no.
best because our friend and dear closest, dear beloved Giuseppe in the Discord, we have a fallen soldier of the Yama show. And unfortunately, we had a loss. And it's just hard for me to understand that God has to take some of the best people from us. And it wasn't even a person, that this was a very sweet animal. This was a sweet creature. Are fish even animals? I don't know. But the fact is, Giuseppe's fish, rest in peace, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Seriously. Not trying to make jokes. I'm serious. That is hard, for real.
Well, first of all, yeah, if fish are animals, and it was Hermanson whose fish is passed away, which
I
is
thought it was Giuseppe. I'm sorry.
it's our good boy, our good friend Sigma. But yes, very unfortunate when things like that happen. And on the real, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit during the UFC BJJ card yesterday, and he was letting us know that there were some issues going on with his beloved gold hidden fish there, and it did pass away. So, moment of silence. Rest in peace. Absolutely. As I always say about animals, it's one of those hard things. You love them, and it sucks that you outlive them. As long as you treated them well and did your best as an owner, then that's all you can really do in life. So, better place, hopefully.
No, absolutely. And my mistake, Hermanson, my bad. That speech, that was for you, man. That's my bad. But either way, everything I hope is good over there, and that does suck. But I'm happy that I'm here, and I'm happy that we can get that out the way because you know we got new things to talk about, and unfortunately we do got to talk about the tragedy in this world. So that was the main thing we got to step off the show with. Is there anything else that is going on with you, Thinker?
No, just to put a cap on it as well, you cannot appreciate the comedy and the joy without acknowledging the tragedy and the darkness. So it's yin and yang in life, and hopefully we come out the other side even better for it. So, it was not Giuseppe, but that is Hydra, and Hydra is in the chat already. If you are hanging out with us and want to get your chats in, this is the free for all. This is the place where your voice can be heard. We will be going through all of the news that Chase has picked out, but if there are stories that fall through the cracks, things that we miss, save them for the end of the show. You can get them in the chat. We'll look at them, we'll talk about them, and we will get through all of the amazing things that are always going on in this very crazy world of mixed martial arts today.
Yeah, 100%. So if everybody's ready to go, if we're locked and loaded, I have some interesting things that we are going to run down for this week.
I think that we're more than ready to go. I am excited. We talked a little bit about a couple of things very briefly, but as usual, this is all going to be a fun time for me. I get to sit back and be presented with these stories as well. So let them rip, Chase.
All right. So first we are going to just take a little step back. I
All
know
right.
we just had fights on Saturday, and we talked about them on Monday, but there are still some things to wrap up just because people had some things to say on some podcasts afterwards, So we're going to run a few things down, but this is the first thing that I said or that I think that we should go through. So first, Alexandra Pantoja is still going at it, even though his arm is, fucked up. He's good. You good?
Yes. Oh yeah. No. No.
Cool.
Yeah. Just look. Just seeing this. Yeah. Alexandre Pantoja.
Love the music.
Ooh, banger. Getting it in with the kettlebell over
Yes,
here.
yes, absolutely.
With the arm in the mechanical sling, it looks like.
Well, my funny thing to note is I saw this and instantly I wanted to make a joke like, that's not the arm that you hurt, right? You're working out. You're still you could work whatever. It's just funny to me. Like he's doing this workout. It's like I don't know. Funny. Anyway,
Good.
this
I mean,
is
great.
yes, great
Good
on
to
him.
see. Yeah, happy to see it. Happy to see that he's out there, continuing on and keeping himself healthy aside from the injury. We were talking a little bit about the non-cast slash sling slash brace that he is
Mhm.
wearing there. Um, it was CTE, I believe, in the chat, who was like our resident guy with some semblance of medical knowledge, and was saying that, it potentially means that he might not need surgery, but it's still a little bit up in the air that he's wearing that type of a brace as opposed to the hard cast, which is what you had mentioned.
Mhm.
So, I mean, good. This is all positive signs as far as I'm concerned.
No, absolutely. I mean, it looked a little gruesome, but once I saw like what I deemed the injury to be, this was not as surprising to me. I mean, I rarely, I'm gonna be honest, like when was the last time you've seen like a hard cast? I don't know, maybe we're just too modern in sports science, like this is the equivalent to it now, but when I saw this, I'm like, oh yeah, that's just, keep it in track, but not actually hold it so the bone can restructure, whatever you want to say. So this was great signs for me. Obviously, he's going to be wearing it for a little bit, even if it's not causing him pain or anything. Precautionary, just wear it a little longer. And then, there might be some physical therapy that he needs to go through, but his arm is still functional. It's not like he needs to relearn how to like bend it because it's a new thing, whatever you want to say. So this is all very, very good.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. I was just thinking while you were talking about all that, like, yeah, when was the last time you saw a hard cast? Really, I mean, maybe it is like as far as like at the high levels. I mean, maybe for like kids and regular people, you see them, but
The last time I saw the injury like this was Joe Pyfer on the Contender Series, and this was very similar. But I actually think his arm was broke. I think it
mhm.
was a little different. He might have had a hard cast at that point, but I think these guys just go right into surgery if that happens. It's like whatever you want to say. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, all signs trending well. I believe that there was a statement also released by someone on his team saying that the immediate rematch is what they would like to have happen, depending on how long the recovery is going to be. So, if it's relatively short amount of time, again, relative being the operative word there, if it's short enough that an immediate rematch makes sense, then they would like to do that. If it ends up being a longer situation, then they're not going to hold the division up, which is the right thing to do. But hopefully, either way, I think that we should all just rest our heads knowing that Alexandre Pantoja will be back, and that fight is going to happen. I mean, whether it's Josh Van as the champion, whether it's Josh Van, depending whatever circumstances happen, a lot of things can happen in that time. But one way or another, we will get the redemption of this fight.
It's flyweight guys. They fight each other like 4 times before they move up to bantamweight for the retirement.
Ain't
Whatever you
that the
want to say.
truth? Yeah,
But
that is so true.
I think Hydra here. I have no issue with blood or knockouts. Hate seeing bones pop out. I would like to ask you, Mister Thinker St. James, as somebody who loves to watch UFC Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and yeah, of course they get submissions there, and bones are popping out all over the place because these are the highest level grapplers that the UFC could find. What is your opinion on that?
I mean, it's certainly jarring in the moment. It's one of those things that when you see the slow motion replay, it does kind of give you a little bit of a visceral, like, oh my god, kind of cringe to it. Once I'm aware that it's like the thing, like a good example of it is when I was doing the video about Dominic Cruz's thoughts on the injury and how everything played out there. Once I've seen it and I'm aware that it's going to be in my purview, it gets a little bit easier to stomach, but I definitely have that knee jerk reaction. But that being said, they are very gruesome. Blood is worse for me. I mean, like I've
Really?
admittedly not as much in MMA. I mean, like I'm pretty used to it in mixed martial arts. It's that doesn't really bother me as much. Sometimes when it's a cut that's really really bad, like the Irene Aldana cut always comes to mind as like that was a little bit hard to stomach. But like in general, it's not really that bad for me. But like in like horror movies and things like that, like I see massive amounts of blood, or if I, God forbid, ever am looking at like medical procedural kind of stuff like that, I get a little bit squeamish by.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of that.
this whole combo is making me queasy because what the fact is like blood and cuts, like, no, I love it. I mean, bring it on. But like when it comes to bones breaking, now I'm not even saying like Anderson Silva leg break, okay, whatever. Conor McGregor leg break, whatever. Like if it's a strike and it breaks, it's like he was throwing it hard, whatever you're gonna say. But when it's a submission move, like there's a couple that come to mind. So you have Frank Mir versus Big Nog, snapped his arm with an arm, with a fucking Kimura or whatever. And it's like that. What I think is like, holy shit, that is like, it's like you're watching and you're like, oh, please don't, please don't, please don't. But then if it, like the only thing you think about is like, man, that dude really is he he's stupid, yes, but like he was willing to go to the end for it. He didn't want to give up. And then when you think of like Miktabek and Tofik or whatever that we just saw more recently, like dude, he was ripping that dude's arm like fucking off his body. Anything you want to say, like these Kimuras, it's hard to stomach, but like I don't know, like it's hard, bro. But like something like this, when he fell on his arm, like it was hard to watch. But like I think once your brain can wrap around like what you're seeing, it's fine. But like if you're seeing someone's bone explode, it's like, oh god, like like when they get an arm or a Kimura, like the shoulder, just like whatever you want to say, it's like no, that shit is gruesome. But Chad's for them, man. They want to entertain, man. That's what they're here for, you
Oh
know.
yeah, and absolutely. I mean, like this is what this sport is. I mean, like it's one of those things. This is why, really, like if you break it down a little bit deeper, why I always find the promotion and the mass scale adoption of mixed martial arts in popular culture to be interesting. Because, like, yes, there's a lot of technique to it. It's a beautiful sport in a lot of ways. The movement, all of the things that you know about it are great, but you cannot disassociate or divorce it from the brutality of it. They go hand in hand. And so it's like, think about that. Think about this coming up as a potential thing that could happen. And I'm not trying to be Mystic St. James here, but think about if it does. There is potential for there to be mass gruesomeness at the White House when the White
Mhm.
House card happens. Depending on who's fighting and what the circumstances are, we could see somebody bleeding in a crazy way on national television now. I mean, and that just is going to be embedded into the culture. So it's just an interesting element of this sport and how it like operates within a more polite society who probably is not as okay with those kinds of things. We're fucking jaded at this point. We know that this kind of stuff is coming, and we deal with it as we will. But like if little Timmy is sitting there with mom, oh President Trump says we can watch these things at the White. Conor McGregor is fighting at the White House. I know that guy. He's in Fortnite or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have children potentially watching massive amounts of gruesome brutality.
Let me tell you why this is not a problem to me, and why
Yeah.
I think it's actually us being a little behind in some aspects. Because I come from watching one now. I know that they stream early morning cartoons right after that shit. Like and they start very very young there as well too, and it's like competition based when they start. Like it's get them in young, so and that's how they're gonna make their money later. Get them into the trade work or whatever you want to say, but I think that's us, being a little behind in that aspect. We see them go on they go on every fucking Saturday. They go to the grocery store after they watch people maul each other in the morning, whatever or at night and the next day, whatever you want to say. It's like they they're fine. What the White House, whatever.
Yeah, no, it's just it's a cultural difference that we're I guess coming around to in slow incremental ways, but crazy to think that just a couple of years ago this sport was still not legal in New York State. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a rapid evolution of these things. So very interesting to note.
Um, I don't know why. It's just because I said one and talking about in the States or whatever. There is a one card that is scheduled to be in Denver, Colorado this year, I think in June. I don't know why they let us know that, but I can't know what fights are happening this Friday until 2 days before.
Right.
Either way, either way. So that just
Yes,
came to mind.
yeah, that's an interesting thing with that too, because for some reason, one championship loves Denver because they have had their U.S. cards in Denver multiple times. Because
Nice.
I know this for a fact because at one time, me and Vitzking were actually talking about possibly trying to get out to Denver to go see it. Like we were like, we both loved one. This was Stamp was fighting. I think Rod Tang was on that card as well. I think that ended up breaking down at that point, but
As it
either way,
always does,
right. And
unfortunately.
and that's it's like that's I guess the double-edged sword of what you were saying about like announcing the fights that early is it's like you'll announce it for June and this is your potential card and then you sell a bunch of tickets and things can rapidly change, but yeah, so I don't know why Denver specifically, but shout out to Denver for getting the one cards.
Okay, we got to get back into some news because you were talking about how things could drastically change, right? So things had to drastically change or will have to drastically change for this fighter that we're going to talk about next. And this is again wrapping up from last week, so don't be surprised if this is somebody that you don't care about. But
Mhm.
this is much needed. Grant Dawson said
Ah,
we're gonna play the clip before I read the headline because
sure.
again I only read the headlines and then I wait to save the clips to watch with my friends. So here we
All
go.
right.
Well, the main thing is I think I need to get my strength back. You know, like you said, I'm not as strong as I used to be, and I think that's what I'm going to be doing. I need to spar more. I'm not a big fan of sparring because of all the horror stories about brain injuries, and like I'm going to have kids soon. I wanna be able to, you know, remember my kids' names when I'm 60. But I really have to come to peace with, if I want to be as good as I know I can be, I have to spar more. So I'm moving my sparring from once a week to 3 times a week. Not hard, but just to get used to it. I think that'll help a lot. And then just getting back on the horse, not feeling discouraged, not feeling like, because we all lose, man. You've lost some fights, and I think very very highly of you. Um, the shitty thing is like you lose 1, 2 fights. I'm 23-3 is my overall record, and I just have hundreds of DMs telling me about how bad I am. And I'm just like, you guys were all happy when you were winning money with me, you know, wrestling these dudes. And now I lose 1 or 2 fights and I'm just the worst, bro. So the main.
Okay.
There's a couple things that I want to say. First off,
Sure.
the end of that clip there is what I'll maybe address first. It's like, so again, you're back to not understanding. Yeah, 23-3. I'm the man. Oh, I just lose a couple, and you guys are fucking idiots. It's like you don't understand that you lose all the big moments. Like these are all the moments that could get you an opportunity. That's what the problem is. Second, this is a guy, and obviously, it's funny for me to say this after he follows what the statements by saying, I want to care about my health. I got kids coming on. I'm like, this dude is talking awfully clear for a guy who just lost by fucking knockout. Apparently, you better come in. I'm being funny,
Oh
but
my
like,
God.
bro, he didn't even get knocked out. That's the problem. If you could come on a podcast a day later after you just lost by TKO KO, like, come on, brother. Like, don't come out here doing this shit, telling me you're gonna up your sparring 3 times. I honestly could care less about that. Get back in the gym instead of coming on the Show Me the Money podcast with Renato Moicano. Like,
I mean, I think you're being a little harsh there. I mean,
they say that, but then he wants to say that too. Oh, you guys were so happy when I was winning you money wrestling these guys. Yeah, but what happens when Bobby Green and the one dude that has power can knock you out
well,
and
that I
you
think
quit too?
that's the bigger point is that, yeah, it's like I think you made the better point by saying he's not understanding. It's like, yeah, you probably should, like, I do think that there is some value to him upping his sparring, but more so is upping your striking technique in general. Just get your striking acumen up. If sparring is going to be the thing that does that for you, then great, make that happen. But again, if go back to the breakdown that we did on Monday on the last week's fights podcast, if you go through and watch the way that he was doing his striking, like there were noticeable holes in the game that were just exploited. That's what the problem was. So it's not necessarily about, oh, I need to get my toughness back or my strength or whatever, bro. You just need to have better striking, period. So
Yeah.
like, and him saying, oh yeah, everybody was happy when I was wrestling these guys. Yeah, but when the wrestling didn't work, you didn't have a plan B. That was the issue here. Again, go back to the breakdown because Manuel Torres stuffing the takedowns well, evading the takedowns well, you had to strike. So if you can't, like if the plan B is not in place there, then yeah, get a plan B, I guess. But going in and talking about it is not necessarily the way to do it. I do agree. You definitely get in there and just don't talk about it, be about it.
That's really what it all comes down to. And I don't know. I'm not a Grant Dawson hater, but I mean, listen, I don't care how many times you can win against people that don't matter. The people that do matter, that people are thinking it's going to be a tough matchup for you, you end up literally putting your hands over your head and falling to the mat. Like that, I don't know.
Well,
Either way,
maybe that's what he's going to train in the sparring sessions is that he's going to get himself to he starts off on the ground and then, he's doing like the leg hugging and it's like, okay, well, how do you build yourself back up? Honestly, I mean, I'm kind of joking about that, but probably not a bad skill to have, like how you get yourself back into a fight. I mean, hard to replicate, of course, being rocked and stuff like
I
that,
mean,
but
he
like,
can get rocked by. He can train with anybody he wants in the gym, and just give him one free shot, and it's going to wobble this dude.
so then
Like,
I guess then he's making a good point that he's like, I didn't want to spar so much because of all the CTE and horror stories and this and that. It's like, well, I mean, bro, this is the sport that you are
I,
in. Like it's a hard
I,
one for that. Like, I mean, I feel for him in the sense that, of course, I want him to be able to have a nice life with his kids and stuff. But at the same time, like you are in the sport where you get hit. dude. I mean, like if you want to just go real American freestyle, my guy, real American freestyle. There are options. This is the best era for fighters who have a specific set of skills to be able to still use those skills outside of mixed martial arts if that's what they really want to do. If you want to just be a wrestler, there has never been a better time to just be a wrestler than right now. Real American freestyle is right there for you. You can go and be a champion in real American freestyle tomorrow.
I actually think you're making a good point because I think there's a lot of people who would have their criticisms of real American wrestling, but I, as well as you, would love to advocate anybody in the UFC who just wants to wrestle. Go on. Please just go on. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of options. I mean, I think you're being a little bit mean, and you're being a little bit of a meanie pants here, Chase. But that's all right.
I hate this next one.
Fair enough. Well, then before you get to it, let me at least shout out to the chat because we
Yes,
got a couple
that
of
was what
people
I was
coming
going to do
in.
too. Damn, good job.
Absolutely. Yeah, most definitely. So, KK Boy, who is Sigma, coming in. Sigma, we gave a nice tribute to your fallen soldier fish earlier in the stream. So, shout out to you for that, my guy. Hope you are doing well. Hydra, always holding it down for us. And the Queen, Sarah Toby, in the chat as well. Congratulations on the back piece getting finished up. Tattoos looking super fresh. Saw Rick Allen also earlier saying that he's going to chin everybody, make it happen. Again, we're talking about Grant Dawson talking about it and being about it. You need to be about it, not talk about it so much yourself there, pal.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Thinker is calling me a crabby butt today, but I tell you guys, it's only going to get worse for you because this next person, and I truly believe this, she needs to not be talking much at all. So we have Macy Barber making a fighter call out here. She calls out, she says, I don't have the clip, of course. I just have Mr. Crazy Kev because this is obviously the news source that we have.
The most reliable source on the internet. We know this.
So you guys already know I've been calling for my rematch for a while against Alexa Grasso. I would love to take that one out. If not, then I just want a title shot. Here's what I have to say, and then I'll let you go.
I mean, I go ahead because I already know what you're going to say, and I'm already agreeing. But go for it, Chase.
Yes. So Macy Barber, obviously she's going to say, I've been calling for my rematch for a while, right? And to my point, I would love to say, why don't you call for the fight that you just canceled? Why don't you call for that one? Why aren't you, if I was somebody who genuinely had a circumstance that did not leave, I could not perform that night, and I know it was not in my hands. God had a different plan or whatever, especially with her post-fight fucking speech. You get on here and cry like Jesus Christ. You would have a sense like, this the greater purpose. Okay. You would come out here and say, all right, Aaron, I know shit happened, but we can run it back and I got you this time. Whatever you want to say. But no, she doesn't fucking say that, nor does she even say like, or Aaron, we can do that back. Not Alexa Grasso or Aaron. No. Or I would love to get a title shot. Are we fucking for real? Do you know who Armin Sarukian is? He might have even been on the same episode of Ariel with her. Like, is she stupid? Like, seriously, I'm asking.
You make a good point with that too, because really, I mean, granted, she's not necessarily or anywhere near the level of spoiled brat that Armin is, and that he has his own set of circumstances there. But if you strip that part away, the circumstances are not dissimilar. I mean, she killed an entire main event off of, granted, things that are outside of her control.
She did it worse, by the way.
Well, I mean, again, things that she would say, and I would tend to believe that were outside of her control, but Armin said the same thing. So, I mean, we're all just not believing Armin because it probably is bullshit with Armin. But when it comes to her, even it's what I said on the podcast about that too. Whether or not it was something that she could not control or not, the narrative sticks. It doesn't matter. Like it does not bode well for you one way or another, because what is to say that we're not going to see the same thing going forward at any other time that you're trying to cut weight and have medical problems and this kind of stuff. And I am sympathetic to that as a thing, but it's in the narrative. It's in the zeitgeist. It's a part of your story now. So if that's potentially going to be the same thing going forward or whatever, then yeah, there are similarities with Armin. That being said, the other point that I have about all of this is that Aaron should really be using this to her advantage, because Macy is the one who has been trying to do she has dipped, ducked, dived, and dodged her way around Aaron Blanchfield's name. Aaron Blanchfield needs to be the one to start piping up over here and being like, yo, what the hell? You were the one that killed our fight. Like, let's do it. You're talking about a title shot. I was the one that was on the way to the title shot. I went into one of the biggest challenges in the division, came up short on that. You need to get through me first.
I actually think There, in a way, it would be, or if I'm Aaron and Macy called me out, like, girl, I just finished somebody. I just finished a good fight. I don't even know remember who it was. Oh, Tracy Cortez. I just finished Tracy Cortez, submitted her. And you just had a fucking boring decision against Karini Silva. You girl, you better never call me out again. You had your chance, and I was gonna whoop you. And we know who's getting the title shot out of those, and it ain't gonna be you. So the next time we meet, it will be for the title if you ever get to that point, because Aaron potentially is gonna go ahead and get that belt. I mean, she's looking real good. I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, what my point is though is that she should say something. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like she should use the because look, when it comes to women's MMA, the aura is a little bit different. You know, the we don't really have a lot of like crazy trash talkers in women's MMA. I mean, sometimes occasionally you'll get people who are a little bit better than others on the mic, but in general, it's a little bit tamer. But like you can still build a name outside of the cage, you know, and be a little bit more personality driven. And like something like that it's a perfect launching pad for Aaron Blanchfield.
No, KK boy, I did not. I was not laughing about the fish. It was the comment because I genuinely did not know if fish were animals. Ever aquatics? Did we call them different things? Amphibious life forms, whatever you want to say. It wasn't. It was me hiding the laugh because Hydra read it back to me, and I realized that that was probably a stupid comment. But I feel like if I would have said a fish is an animal, you guys would have been like, "This guy fucking thinks a fucking goldfish is an animal." I don't know what you guys are on, but I sincerely was not laughing about the fish. It was definitely, and I even got your name. I didn't even think it was. I don't know what I'm on. It was bad. I'm sorry. The
Just
goldfish.
just
Rest
do
in
me a
peace, brother.
yeah, do me a favor and just clip it, chat. Well,
Just clip it, chat. God damn it. Oh my god. Hydra, stop, don't do this to me. Anyway, if anybody if
sorry.
anybody has anything to laugh about, it is certainly Dana White. And this next clip is going to tell you why. And
Okay.
we may not even need to watch the clip. I normally don't want to listen to this dude talk because it's a minute and 50 seconds. But if you want to go ahead and listen to Francis talk about his PFL contract on stream, we can go ahead and run that back real quick.
I mean, yeah, you can play it a little bit of it. Let's see what Francis has to
Okay.
say here.
Where I'm getting very close with on the PFL contract, so they have to give me a fight.
Okay, when you say close, what do you mean by that? Close to the end?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you
When
pause
is
it?
that?
So
Let's break this down piece by
Okay.
piece here.
Okay. Go ahead.
He's saying that he's getting close to the end of his PFL contract. What has he done within the time of the PFL contract, and what were the original terms of the PFL contract? This is, I think, what a lot of people are criticizing Francis for, amongst many things. Francis is not a very popular guy and is making himself less of a popular guy day over day with the way that he's been conducting himself. Yeah, go
Keynote
ahead.
is this was supposed to be his moment to like build the fan base back. Dana talks shit. He gets a random aerial interview when he's not even a current fighter. It's like
Right.
you even asked a question. It's like, what is he doing on aerial? Maybe that was not you, but
Yeah.
somebody asked, what is he even doing on aerial? He's not. He's just there. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't have a fight
absolutely.
booked. So
But
anyway,
that's so yeah. So I mean, right. That was me, and I was like, yeah, what is he even promoting over here? Like, he really was just coming on to, I guess, either rebuff or whatever. And I guess we'll find out here in a second. But my original point, and why I wanted to stop it, yeah, his contract is almost up with the PFL. What were the original terms of that contract? If this is where he's at the end of, because he has fought one time for them, they sat by and supported him throughout all of his boxing endeavors. He takes 2 boxing fights, loses both of them, by the way, and makes $30 million reportedly off of that, while the PFL is sitting back and just supporting all of that. And again, one fight for them, and he's on the end of the contract, and he skips out on PFL Africa. Like, this dude is doing himself no favors. And if I was PFL, I would just be, I'm amazed that they are. I think that they have to be a little bit tight-lipped about all of this, but behind the scenes, you got to imagine that PFL is fucking reeling off of this deal.
yeah, I assume if there was actual good, I just noticed. Sorry, there's a fucking picture of Virna Jandiroba in this fucking corner over here. Sorry, you would figure if this was an organization who had a good set of like a good lawyer team, like they would be able to figure out how to get this dude like a lawsuit. Like there's no way breach a contract of some sort. I know you're asking what the clauses are, but like if this was the WWE, brother, we're coming for you. Like,
well, this is the problem, though, is that like they don't have PFL has navigated their fighter relations in such a tremendously poor way. They've let all of their like mid-level higher talent, which is like their high talent is like, in the big scheme of things, not exactly like world-ending talent, but they let all of their the talent that they would consider to be high level talent, they let all of them leave. They put all of their eggs in the Francis and Dakota Ditch of a basket here. So they're really not in any position to try to go after this guy in any real way, because you start making waves and the one person that you put all of this time, money, and effort into starts becoming a problem for you. I mean, like, you cause problems throughout the entirety of everything, and then you also don't have a big star. So I mean, they're really between a rock and a hard place when it comes to Francis, I would say.
I said something in your chat, I think, about this, and I was like, or maybe it was in the Discord. It was like, the PFL was tanking their own name before, and they will continue to do long after Francis Ngannou. So this is just one misstep for them, and
Sure.
it's a big one, but it's going to be a frequent thing that happens. Do you want me to go ahead and continue?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's see what else he's got to say.
You talked about wanting to fight John Jones at the White House.
Yeah, I mean, yes, if that could have happened.
Right. Would your PFL contract end before that event happens so that it would work out to where you could explore that?
Yes.
Oh my dear. This is interesting stuff, Francis. But he might not get that fight. It seems like they're mad at him. Because now he wants to fight on the White House card, but Dana White said he doesn't trust him to be on the White House card, so he's not going to put him on there.
I don't know. I think the White House card is the fight away. A lot of things can happen.
I think what's interesting is you could be a free man again.
Yeah.
All right, pause. Okay, so I mean, again, going to the points that we're making about his contract with PFL, and this is the conversation that is happening on the Ariel show right now. If I was Don Davis, I would be punching holes in the wall hearing all of this. This dude, with the one fight that he gave us, the screwing over of, because this was another point I made on that same stream that you were talking about, where you made that comment, is that the regional promotions, quote unquote, the PFL Africa, PFL MENA, PFL Europe, all of those were already in place before Francis came on to be the spearhead of Africa. So he put himself into the position to be over Africa specifically, completely screws off on all of that, and then is now basically going to leave that in shambles, so to speak. I'm sure that it's fine. I'm sure that they got people to, pick up the pieces of all that, but he's going to take all of that goodwill that they extended to him off of the one fight that he had, and then just hightail it right back over and join back forces with the UFC if they would let him do that. This is such a slap in the face.
My thing that's really funny about this, and it's the only thing that I can think about now, and it's because Dana is really good at what he does, and that's slandering people. Because listen, when I look at this video and I hear Hydra's comment, does Francis actually know nothing? Ariel is explaining such commonly known things to him, and he still gives answers that are out of touch. Well, it's because Francis plays the and his English is phenomenal. He fucking speaks that shit great, he fucking language barrier my ass, this dude, he plays the bumbling buffoon, but
I don't think that he really does. That's the whole thing, is that, like, I've never really thought that was the case. Like, I think that his English is good enough for sure, whatever. I mean, I just didn't think that he was, like, really out here, like, legitimately playing PFL, but, like, it certainly looks that way now.
I think it's funny because I hear him talk and I'm just so caught up laughing about that comment. Hydra again. I just want to fight Jones at the White House. Well, Dana said multiple times that's not happening. Well, that's the fight to make. It's like, what are you talking about? All right, dude. Like, I mean, you're making a great case.
A lot of things can happen. I mean, and look, the craziest part of all of this, if you really step back, the craziest part of all of this is that there is some potential for it still to happen. Think about that. Think about if he really is about it like this and is truthful and wanting to do it, and Dana says that he can lock John Jones down, say, I'm going to keep you in a hermetically sealed box in DC until the point of the fight happening, and get Francis there as well. It kind of is a good fight. It's kind of a fight that a lot of people want to see. It would be at the White House. It would be big enough for the White House, and what a slap in the face to PFL on top of it. And Dana would love to do that.
Yeah, but I think what's also funny about the White House situation, we've talked about it before, but we actually didn't really talk about this aspect of it. But like, now that we know that the White House is a confirmed thing, that Donald Trump is going to have happen, they're coming out the woodworks to kiss Dana's fucking ass, bro. They are coming out here to make sure they do whatever they want for the possibility to get on this card. And most of these people, are fucking idiotic. Like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, Giga Chakazde, we'll have you on the White House card, dude. That's obviously didn't happen, but that's just a funny thing that potentially people like that are out there thinking like, man, I could throw my name in that. But no, Francis, yeah, probably somebody that could merit being on that card, but Dana ain't having it.
I
Dana
couldn't
ain't
imagine.
having
I
it.
mean, it would be such a ridiculously crazy thing to have that after everything that's gone down. I mean, that is one thing that you should know by now, if you haven't already picked up on it, is that when Dana has that image, when you have gone against the organization and the loyalty has been perceived to be broken, even if it's not fully broken in reality. I mean, there have been fighters who, like Jose Aldo, I think is a great example of that. A guy, he went to box. That really, like, we see fighters going over to do the submission grappling karate combat now, and that's not a slight, but back when it wasn't like as acceptable for fighters to go to other like non-MMA promotions, Jose Aldo goes to box for a little while. That's perceived as this huge, you're dead to me kind of moment. And we see how he was treated when he came back. So even if the perception is there, it very rarely leaves Dana's mind. I mean, like, that's why Henry Cejudo had to be sitting there on his knees begging Dana for $50,000 after he lost to Peyton Talbot. I mean, this is just how it goes.
Well, you brought up Henry Cejudo, so I'll go ahead and bring it up just real quick before we finish this video because I think it's very funny. Cash Patel thanked Henry Cejudo for a great career on Twitter.
That my friend, he said, I was like, I don't think you have any actual friends, Cash Patel, but
if anybody's his friend, though, it potentially probably would be Henry Cejudo. He seems like the type of dude that would be friends with Cash Patel.
That's actually pretty spot on, I would say. Yeah. Two guys who are genuinely and generally disliked by the majority of human beings. I think, maybe it's like they got to stick
together. Birds of a feather,
Yeah, right. There you go. Exactly. Got to stick together.
But either way, all right, let's finish this because look at Francis's face here.
So happy with all of this money that he's built out of PFL, dude. He really is just laughing his way to the bank.
And we'll actually talk about this real quick because he's laughing. He's so happy at the state that his life has come to out of. He's finessed so many people out of millions of dollars and then never once gave back to the sport of MMA in the region of Africa. That's the problem.
It really, you've said that a couple of times, and like, I really do agree with it in the big picture, because the whole point of him making himself, again, that is my biggest thing with it. He specifically made it a clause in the contract that I am going to be the chairman of PFL Africa. That was to give back to Africa, to the fighters of the region. And for him to just skate off of that while they're doing and trying to build that region up, that really is a slap in the face to that region and those fighters, I would say.
Well, not even just that. Like, I would have some sort of respect for him if he did all this finessing and finagling, DB Cooper style. And then there was some big fucking shit going on in Africa that he specifically had plans for. Like, you could tell, like, the gears are going. Like, he has a future of what he's planning for Africa, but he just gets this money and now he sits in a fucking a mansion, like whatever you want. I don't know, dude.
No, I agree. Yeah,
he probably. I'm not going to be the one to speculate, but a lot of people have money and a lot of people spend money. It's hard to keep money, but from what I'm seeing from this, this throne that Francis is viewing here, he probably ain't got much actual money that he has like hanging around and fucking that he's not paying for fees and shit.
I think he's doing okay.
Well, I would feel like if this dude, because the way that he comes off, he would have his camera set up where he's got an illustrious display of all of his fucking riches and shit. That's just my opinion of him.
Maybe. I mean, he could be in flux.
Look at Ariel.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ariel's in his studio. I mean, Francis could be on the road. I mean, there's a lot of different things that could be going on with that.
A hotel bathroom or something like.
That's what I mean. Maybe he's legitimately in the hotel bathroom. Maybe that's the level of respect he has for this interview.
Yeah, true.
Doing it from the toilet.
Let's finish.
Yes, please.
I will be soon.
If it was up to you, the opponent, the sport, the month, the location, can you tell us what you want?
Two things. I would say two things. I would say John Jones and Deontay Wilder.
Do you feel confident that can happen next year?
Wait a minute. Wait.
Gets wrecked by Anthony Joshua and then is wanting Deontay Wilder. That is so crazy.
So Ariel, one asked a really stupid question after being told White House, John Jones. Okay, what do you think is next? Well, I think John Jones. It's like, well, he just fucking said that. And then he says Deontay Wilder, mind you, who's another boxer. So that doesn't mean a PFL fight in MMA.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The finesse continues. The idea that they would re-sign this guy is, I mean, like that I think is also one of the big, like, culminating issues with all of this, and what's going to be interesting to see going forward is what does PFL do at the end of all of this? Because if he says, oh, I'm open to negotiating with PFL, and I would love to hear, I think the PFL president, not Don Davis, the other guy, has said that, we're going to explore all of our options with him and all this kind of stuff. It's like, why would you continue digging yourself deeper into this Francis Ngannou hole for the one fight that you got, and potentially one more fight and then more boxing outside of your promotion? I mean, like, God, you are propping this guy up for literally nothing.
And I'm not trying to be too real about it, but I think Hydra, you said it a great way. Good for Francis getting the bag, whatever. Yeah, but he promised a nation of impoverished people change and screwed them over for, as one of their own people. It just really, there's things about it. It's like, just don't ring right to you. You're like, if you had, how many thoughts in your mind go on a day? You're gonna tell me not one time he thought like, maybe I should go put on a fight in Africa.
I think you'd think at this point, and maybe at some point he will do something like this, and I think it might even be too little too late, but like, you'd think that within all of this, knowing how bad the optics are from the outside, that he would have done some type of something in Cameroon, or it's somewhere in Africa that like, his home country, Cameroon, any of the other go South Africa, where there are a lot of fighters all situated, so that maybe building it up over there. You would think that he would do some type of, even just solely for PR at this point, just to have the illusion of giving back in a little bit, because you are like, the optics of this look terrible.
And we've talked about like reputations and if somebody acts a certain way and they give you a reputation of like what they act like, that's how you're going to believe them to be. And I'm not trying to lump Francis in with these other people, but Timba Garimbo is another example of, saying that he's going to do something for the country of Africa and then deciding, not country of Africa, continent of Africa, excuse me. And then, deciding, I want to do my own thing, and that's basically what it came down to. I think Akon, we talked about that. He did something similar to that. Akon
Sure,
City or
Akon
whatever the
City,
fuck.
yeah.
Like, Jesus fucking Christ, So I'm not saying they're 3 for 3, but like, these are pretty famous. Timba Garimbo excluded. Francis and Akon. Those are pretty famous fucking people,
Yeah, and
Y'all got a lot of fucking money, man. Like,
as well. And I mean, I did an entire video wondering why Timba Garimbo was so disliked in Zimbabwe, his home country. And like, you do yourself no favors with this type of perception, and the action does not match.
It's funny too. It's like the way you frame it. It's like, why is Timba Garimbo disliked in Zimbabwe? It's like, well, because he's disliked outside of Zimbabwe, but also Zimbabwe has human beings who dislike people as well, and he seems to be somebody that can be disliked, and you see why when you follow him and you understand like why he does the thing that he does. Yeah, he's when he posted like a whole thing. I think we might have even talked about it. He posted a whole little paragraph about the well situation to clear up the situation, and somebody highlighted like all the main points of it that you need to hear. Is like, I want to do my own thing. I want my money. I don't want people to tell me what I'm doing. It's like, you could have just, if that's what you wanted to do, fine, but don't have a facade that like, I'm going to do this for Africa. I'm the African champ. I'm ready to give back. I even brought this up in the Discord, and people seem to believe Drika spits facts sometimes. Drika said, I'm the only African champ that actually will take the belt and train in Africa or whatever. These other African champs, they train in America. I don't. So
it's funny that you mentioned Dricus, though, because what has Dricus done to give back to Africa? He kind of gets away
South
with.
Africa's fine. I think they've figured it out.
I mean, okay, I think that doesn't necessarily ring exactly to what we're talking about here, though. I mean, everybody could use a hand up, regardless. I would think the fighters of South Africa probably would appreciate it. I mean, yeah, it's just interesting that of all of the, we're talking a lot about African MMA right now.
True.
Like, Drika somehow just gets by unscathed.
It's because he said it, dude.
Exactly. You say it first,
Yeah.
you get in front of it.
Yeah, but okay, let's finish.
Yeah,
I
go
know
ahead,
it's easy to talk about everything.
Confident, no, but there's a chance that everything can happen.
So true or false, in the year 2026, Francis Ngannou versus John Jones happens?
True or false?
Yeah, that's the question for you. That's you tell me, true or false.
I don't have hand on it.
You don't, okay.
So I'm not a decision maker.
Would you be open to going back to the UFC if they're interested? Would you be open to talking to them?
I don't know. Wait until it's over.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. Because I think you had a good relationship with Hunter and some of the other people there, right?
Pretty much with everybody.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Okay, so this did not have the clip where he responded to Dana's comments. That's what I was thinking we were leading up to, because yeah, it's funny that that's how that ended. You had a good relationship with Hunter. Oh, pretty much everybody. Well, I think that there's one person that maybe you're leaving out of that.
And, the only person that really matters at the end of the day, the dude who actually signs the check. No. I'm absolutely, no, everybody loves me. It's the same thing with Makayev. It's like, dude, I'm literally cool with the fucking janitors. Like, what are you guys talking about? They don't like me. It's like, well, Dana White specifically has said he doesn't like you. Whatever you want to say. It's like, Francis.
I mean, Beyond doesn't like you. He's claiming that you physically assaulted him, and that's one of the main reasons why he has the feelings that he has towards you. I mean, that's what I'm saying. In the same interview, he did address that and basically gave a non-answer. Where he essentially, people were chalking it up to, "Oh, I'm not going to justify that with a response." But it's like, again, dude, with all of the optics of everything, maybe it reminds me of the Joanna Jędrzejczyk non response with Jamal Hill that recently happened with their little stupid thing. If you don't say anything, you're giving the other side of the story all of the leeway to have the truth of the matter. Like, you probably should have said something to rebut this.
Yeah, 100%. I actually did not get the clip, and I'm not going to go get it real quick because I'll just
No,
break it down for you real
no
quick.
worries.
Dana actually came out and said something else as well. He was like, I did not, I did not, what did the, wait, let me just fucking find it. Give it, chat,
Yeah.
shout out you real quick.
I would say while Chase is looking that up, shout out to Jesse Dunaway coming in. Appreciate you, brother. How you doing? Davos Adventure has been checking in as well. Appreciate you. We're still trying to figure out how exactly I look like Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park. Like how exact is the resemblance? We kind of did a side by side comparison. I'm thinking it's maybe in the 45% range. I don't think it's really that close, but I still appreciate you though.
They used to say I look like Michael Cera. I don't know if this still stands true.
I mean, it's one of those ones where it's like you see a little flex of it, because like I can see a little flex of the Mike Shinoda comparison as well. Kenny Florian, another one that's been coming up recently. Like, there's little bits and pieces everywhere, but as far as like dead on, who I look like? Thinker St. James. That's what.
There we go. So I didn't find the video clip, but so
Okay.
here's Dana White clarifying the story about Francis Ngannou.
Sure, read it out to us.
Yes. Let me be clear on something when I say the physicality. It's not like Francis came in here and threatened us or anything like that. We're in there. He's telling us that he deserves 50K. I said, you're not getting it. We determined who was going to get the 50K. And I'm in there with him for however long. And I'm like, I'm done. I have another meeting. And this guy used to walk around the UFC headquarters like it was his fucking house. He literally spent the whole day here, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I started to walk out. He put his hand on my chest and he said, we're not done talking. And I said, oh, we're done talking. And then Francis came in here. It's not like Francis came in here and was like physical, but that's what went down. So he clarified that there was no assault here.
Yeah, I kind of walked it back a little bit. Okay, fair enough if that's the case or whatever. I mean, again, I think it's a big he said, she said, but if he doesn't say his side of the piece, then you're still just getting all of this from a known liar as well. I mean, that's the other part of all of this. You can't ever trust anything that Dana says. So it's like he can go in and tweak the story here. Francis says nothing. This is the narrative now.
Yeah, 100%. This is just so crazy. I don't know why Dana is on a war path right now. Like, I mean, I guess he's really trying to make it known that Francis ain't getting on this White House card. Like, I'm going to come out here and we're going to be very vocal about Francis because there ain't no way in hell that he's getting on the fucking
But
card.
that is
I'll talk about him
why
all day.
it would be the greatest swerve of all fucking time, though, if it ends up being Francis and John on the card. Because I mean, everyone has been saying, like, all of the major punditry space has been saying it's like, look, you can feel how you want to feel about John Jones. Trust me, you're getting about John Jones when you come to this channel. But like, of all people that like represent that level of the sport, he is that. I mean, he's and not even just as far as what he's done in MMA, but just the name value alone. Like, as far as like people out like that, like the regular general public can name in the sport of MMA: Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, John Jones. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Sean O'Malley to a minor extent for younger people. So like, those are your big names. These are the people that like in the general sphere of knowledge would know. It makes sense to have him on this card. I don't like it. I don't think that he deserves it. And there's many reasons for it, but how big of a fight would it be if it really was him and Francis? It would be massive. And it could make sense. And so I would think it would be just absolutely insane if it does end up coming together.
I agree. I can 100% see that. Now, anything else that we want to say about Francis and Dana?
I mean, I think I've said pretty much all that I've got to say about it. As a person who supported Francis early and really, I mean, very much through, like, I would say the midpoint of the PFL deal with that. I was very happy for him when he got the PFL deal. I thought he navigated his business dealings very well to get that deal. You know, he was talking to one championship. He was trying to negotiate with the UFC after they said that they didn't want to anymore. Like, he was doing everything correctly to get the best deal that he could. For him to handle all of this way and not have a thing to say about how poorly the optics look for him and not do anything to try to change those optics, he's sort of making me change my own perception of him. And that I think is very unfortunate.
Yeah. Speaking of unfortunate, getting into this next story, I
Sure.
would like to. This happened just a little bit ago, so we're still yet to find out what exactly is going on. And this one is actually pretty scary. So the original post has been deleted, but there is just one little resemblance that you'll be able to see because I'm sure Michael Bisping is going to come out and drop a video about it or some sort of, give us some sort of information. So the original post
Okay.
unfortunately said that his son had suffered some injury at a wrestling meet, and this is all that we have left is, fingers crossed he had to be carried to the car and stretchered into the hospital and can't walk at all.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so it was like a serious, he had a whole, message that he was, flying. I think I don't remember. I don't know why I feel like saw him say flying, but that's not right. He was obviously there, I think. But something happened, wrestling injury. The original post said it was his one leg that he couldn't feel, but
Oh,
apparently he can't walk at all. Is now what the
is this the son that just won his first
I don't think so.
pro match? Okay, this is
That's
his
not
other son.
Callum. This is
Right.
Lucas. I could.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I was not aware of this one.
This happened at 7:45.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, then, I mean, obviously, that's a very scary situation, and best wishes to the Bisbing family. I mean, this is a dangerous game that we play in this sport. You know, the fighters, obviously, not us sitting here talking.
Yeah.
But these guys go out there and they do a very dangerous thing that 99.9% of the population would never dream of doing. So injuries and those kinds of things do happen, and then there's always an underlying physiology that you have to consider when you're in these environments, especially also for I would assume a younger person here. I don't know how old his son is, but early on in his fighting career or his wrestling career or whatever, your body is still developing. You don't know if there's underlying things that had not been diagnosed or looked at, when you're that age. Like, these things, there are fighters. I forget which one. There was God, it's going to kill me now that I'm trying to reference it, but there was a fighter who had a brain issue that got caught before, like, he was trying to get cleared for a fight. They caught it on like the CT scan, and they said that if he had gone into that fight, he very well could have died.
Hmm.
So luckily that all ended up getting cleared up, and I think that he's able to fight now. But like, my point is that, like, there's always a potential for there to be underlying things going on in your anatomy and biologically going on with you. It's crazy and unfortunate when things like this happen, and really all you can say is hope for the best.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely did not sound good. Pray for Bisping and the family for real. This one is always worrisome, especially with younger people and suffering an injury like this. I mean, life is long, and an unfortunate life after an injury like that. I would not wish that on somebody. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, don't want to speculate too much. Hopefully, if obviously full recovery, hope that that is the case, that in this situation that there is a full recovery, and that there are no lasting effects from something like that. But definitely a wake up call, unfortunately. Then, and in the big picture, if it is a full recovery situation and he's able to conduct himself 100%, then maybe an eye opening situation as to whether or not you should continue on in a sport like this.
100%. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And Bisping being one of the few fighters on this planet or in existence that have lost an eye in competition. I mean, he of all knows about freak accidents for sure when it
Sure.
comes to this, but things like this, I wanted to, so when you watch, if you ever get on Netflix and you watch The Last Dance, which is the Michael Jordan documentary, Scottie Pippen talks about on there the family, like the relationship that he grew up with in the household, and one of his brothers, got hurt in a wrestling accident. I don't necessarily think it was on like the wrestling team or whatever. I think he just got, whatever. But he ended up paralyzed, and that was somebody that he was in the household with, and it doesn't sound like it is, an easy life at that point, growing up with somebody who's had something like that happen to them, or, raising somebody who's had that happen to them. So I genuinely do hope for the best, because things like that are just really fucking scary to think about, especially, kids and
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I
mm,
mean, that no good, comes from life altering events like that. It's something that you have to change your entire outlook and adjust, make adjustments to. And going forward, it can be very difficult. So, best wishes to the Bisbing family and to Michael Bisbing's son, and hopefully he pulls through 100%. And you evaluate after that, but you get to that point first.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, to get into lighter news,
Yes,
obviously we had to talk about some tragedy this week.
comedy
And
and tragedy.
yes, so the next note, obviously Michael Bisping is one of the older vets that we've had, or that we have currently. He's not necessarily a tenured active fighter, but, he's somebody that's still around the sport, that is a veteran. And there is somebody else that is a veteran of the sport that still lingers around. And I don't know if you know, but we have a current champion who wants to fight him. His name is Glover Teixeira. Okay. So
Oh, buddy, I love this story. Good Lord.
yeah, so Hamzat dropped the quote. Teixeira says, he said, if he sees me in the hotel, bro, I don't need a hotel. You go to UFC, you have contract, you want fight, let's go. Mate, you're the current middleweight champion. You just challenged a 48-year-old light heavyweight. No, this one is not the move, brother.
I mean, really, look at the comparisons of the pictures. I mean, this is current day Glover Teixeira in that picture. Is this looking like a guy that needs to be in a fight with the current champion of the world in any weight class, in any division?
To be fair, that's what DC looked like when he was winning. Just shave the beard.
I mean, you're not wrong about that, but at least DC was conditioned to actually be in fights at the time. I mean, Glover Teixeira has. I mean, the beard really does sell it all. I mean, Glover
Yeah,
Teixeira he's settled into the unk status in the
wise
sport.
old man.
Exactly. He's a mentor to the younger generation now. He's training Alex. He's got all of the things that he is doing on the outside of active competition, and that is absolutely where he needs to stay. So what prompted Hamzat to say these things, Chase?
I don't know why. I don't know why he said this, but I'm going to tell you. You've played Mortal Kombat? Yes. Do you know some
Sure.
of the characters? I don't know
Yes.
why, but this is who I get vibes for with Glover now. He's like the Bo Right Show of the UFC.
I love it.
He's like the drunken master here. Like I think this is definitely 100%
Add,
who I'm
add,
going with here.
add
But
a couple pounds, maybe.
but either way, Hamza doing this. I mean, mate, where's your foot? I thought your foot was hurt. You're not fighting until after Ramadan. What are all these circumstances? Now you're calling out people that are literally not even going to be active in the UFC ever. Like, I, what was his name? Herb Dean?
Yeah.
Not Herb Dean. Not fucking
I
Herb
was
Dean.
gonna say that the referee.
Dean Thomas. Dean
Yes.
Thomas said it best. Way long ago. It's like this is the UFC fans should not want this guy to be champ, because we're going to get a long extended period of him not fighting, and unfortunately he runs his mouth a little bit.
Well, and shout out to Toby coming in with the big facts over here too. This guy going not only calling out Glover Teixeira, but also unnecessarily, very unnecessarily, switching up on Ian Gary after Ian Gary was trying to have a nice little pleasant moment with him backstage. This guy's going out of his way to fight anybody anywhere except for inside of a cage, it seems.
hmm and that's, he kind of does bill his character on that. He used to, at least. I'll fight anybody anytime. But like, mate, get in the cage and actually fight somebody. Don't come out here and tell us that you can't fight because your foot's hurt, but then start calling out fucking 48-year-olds. Like, this one is just a weird move. Not really the biggest Hamzat fan, but he's not making a case of me liking him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he's always had those kind of streaks in him that I would have said would trend towards not liking him. But I
hmm
did think that the conversation in the Discord was pretty funny, though, that this is at all aimed at Alex. The idea of like, I'm not going to beat you up, but I'm going to beat your dad up is kind of a funny idea. Like, it definitely has like humorous elements to it, but still, boots on the ground are not great for Hamzat. And like the optics, again, optics, the sport is all about optics. Do it in the fucking cage. You are holding the belt. Now you are holding up the division with this. So, I mean, like all this fluff is all a bunch of nonsense horse shit when it comes to what you are doing inside of your own division.
Okay, well, I think there's a good segue here, because, like you said, the sport is all about optics. We're going to leapfrog, because this is a perfect segue. Optics, remember that. This
Yes.
sport is all about optics, everybody. And there's one thing that we've always wondered when it comes to optics. Ready?
Yes.
There is a fighter out there who has this sort of it's a very common in the sport. And some fighters have it, and I think it actually makes you a better fighter. But for this one time and one time only, we got to see what Alexander Volkanovski would look like with hair.
Say goodbye,
Ah.
dog.
Hey?
Say goodbye to the hair.
it's done.
Unless they
Wait,
need you.
one more for myself, you know?
Unless they need you. Unless they need you in, mate, you know?
So
Well, of course, this is Alex Volkanovski getting ready for his big acting, not debut. I think he's acted before, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody had said he had an acting role in something else, but probably his biggest acting, debut on the big stage, I would say. He is going to be playing the character of Joe, I believe the name is, in the upcoming Street Fighter movie that has a star-studded cast and looks absolutely terrible, if I'm being perfectly honest.
I don't have much to say about the movie. Chat, let us know what you're thinking, of course, and drop a like. But to Deadly Pube, of course, the hair disturbs you. It does, because one, this is a bald man. If anybody did not know, and that, like I said, many people, it's common in the UFC to be bald. I think it makes you better somewhat because you're not Dustin Poirier's flipping the hair too much. I've seen him lose plenty of times. It's because of the hair. Anyway, but the reason that this is unsettling is because we've gotten way too good at wigs. Like, what am I seeing right here? Like, this could be AI. Like, this is like one of the best wigs I've ever seen. Like, it even goes to like the hair growing right here. It's like this is a bald man, guys. Like,
I mean, that's the thing is it's like not only did they give him hair, but they gave him the most luscious head of hair. Like that
yes,
is a thick mane of hair that he has right there with that wig, and not a bad wig in general, like you're saying. I mean, the bald head probably gives it a nice blank canvas, so you
right,
can do whatever
yeah.
you want. But yeah, I mean, overall a pretty good look for him, I would say. I mean, like if he was gonna have hair, I mean, it's not bad.
You know what I just thought about, and it's really funny because Davos Adventures, yes, Super Saiyan Volk
Yeah.
got tickets to it. Of course, this is a movie that we will have to review for the stream. I mean, this does have MMA
Oh,
fighters in it, of course. You
I've
know,
gotta be. I mean, yeah,
I'll get my ticket.
yeah. When does it come out? Do we know?
Oh, a while from now,
Oh,
probably.
is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's maybe next year.
All right. Well, then, yeah, keep an eye out for the next installment of MMA on film after, this upcoming ones that we'll be doing. But
Yes.
when that movie comes out, you know that your boys will definitely be covering this because, as I said in the Discord, this is either going to be the most awesome movie of all time or it's going to suck terribly. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a middle ground with something like this. Like, it has the potential to possibly be like campy fun, which I'm kind of hoping that, I want it to have sort of the vibe of the old school Mortal Kombat movie, like not the remake, the most current one. I'm talking the original Mortal Kombat movie. Like, I think it could be fun. It could be light. It could be quippy and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that would make it okay. But like, if they try to do anything like serious with this Street Fighter movie, it's going to be terrible.
I always envision the best case scenario for a video game movie. And this is crazy to say because people are going to be like, what in the best case scenario for what I'm about to say is crazy. But when I think of video game movies that I've never forgotten, that have lasted the time, I think of the Super Mario Bros. Movie from the fucking whatever, bro. I'm telling you, dude, that's what I think this is going to be like. I think
That's
this is
what you want this to be.
best case scenario. This is going to be a movie you never forget. It's going to be burned in your brain because you're going to see Volk and be like, what in the fuck is going Cody Rhodes? Same thing. It's like, I don't know if you saw 50 Cent's picture in this. Like,
Oh
dude,
God, yeah. Well, the cast is ridiculous for this thing. That's though you're naming off the big players of it, and that's like, yeah, it's like a big hodgepodge of random people, and then people that and you're like, why are they in this? There was also the one promotional photo that came out of Cody Rhodes, and like the color scheme looked like it was kind of like a neo noir, almost looked like it was
that's
dark
what I'm
with
saying.
the neon.
I think that's why I'm getting like a Super Mario Bros. Vibe from it. It's like you're gonna get the neon. I know that's not what Super Mario Bros. But like they envisioned the future back then to be steel everything. Like that was Super Mario's future at the time. When it was just in the industrial world. Now we think neon, fucking vibrant. Fucking what's the fucking movie with Harrison Ford? That's the shit that we think of as the future now. And I think that's what we're gonna get here. It's gonna feel outdated and it's going to be like not a very good adaptation for a video game. You're going to be like, what did I just watch? But as time goes on, you're going to be like, that Street Fighter movie, I just never forgot that.
Has potential for a cult following, perhaps.
Yes, I totally feel that. Like people are
Okay.
gonna be like, "Are you kidding me?" Alexander Volkanovski acted like in the best movie of all time of 2027. Like I don't
Well,
know.
we give it a couple of months, let this thing hit the theaters, and your boys will be there, and we will give you our full assessment.
See, fucking Doom movie, weird, creepy '80s vibes with uncanny valley actors. I see the exactly. All you need is a Goomba fucking dude that's like a lizard creature. You know,
Well, I mean,
Bowser just needs to be in the movie.
that's
Like,
what I'm saying. You're kind of saying what I was saying, where it's like it has the potential to be awesome in the sense that it's fun and goofy and creepy, campy, weird, like, and that has a value to it. But if it doesn't, like, if it tries to go like so serious that it like, is trying to be like a real movie, like, is for lack of a better word, then I think it'll suck. But like, if they're going for that, where it's just like we're all kind of just having fun with it, and it's a lot of cool like fight sequences and all. Obviously, the fight sequence better be good in this movie. That kind of thing. There is potential for it to be that way, and yeah, hopefully we need more movies like that nowadays. When everything else, and this even is an adaptation as well. I mean, everything has to be an adaptation, sequel, prequel, etc. Like we need them to be like original and engaging in a way that like is not just the same schlocky Marvel bullshit over and over again.
yeah, I'm excited to see it because I think it will be again goofy and for some reason something that you'll never forget. Like I said this about Interstellar and chat can go crazy. You'll see a movie every now and then that you watch and you'll be like, damn, I should have saw that in theaters. Like I really should have went to the theaters and see this. This maybe that. Like it may be so dumb that you're like, wow, I should have experienced this right at the height of it. Like I could have been there with the idiots in the theater, like cheering when Alexander Volkanovsky does a fucking, like I don't know.
Well, I mean, then there is potential, chat, for this to be the next Minecraft movie, and if there is a chicken jockey moment in here, then perhaps being in the theater is the place to be for it.
So either way, I wanted to bring this up. This was actually going to be after the discussion we're going to have, but since we talked about optics, this is Mr. Volkanovski with a great head of hair one last time. He's going to be leaving the screen, so everybody pay your respects because we got to wait a little bit to see it again. But either way, Volk is in the news because
Mm.
he's telling us he's not retiring. There's no fucking chance. Volkanovski, he has no plans to retire if he takes minimal damage, quickly turn around Lerone Murphy and or Mosvar. It doesn't say it in this, but there's another clip. There's a clip, obviously this is on a podcast or whatever. He has said that he plans to avenge his losses against Islam and Ilya as well. And when it gets to that point, I obviously get like he's older, he's just chatting shit, Yeah, I'd love to go back and fight Islam and Ilya, but like realistically, he ain't getting to that point, at least, without dying in the cage again and again. He's getting older, but I would say Lerone or Mozart, it's great that he's ready to fight one of them. When it comes to the Ilya and Islam thing, I think that's just him just thinking off into existence,
Yeah, chasing windmills a little bit
Yeah.
on those, perhaps. But I do like you seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street? I don't know if you've seen that one.
I haven't. Everybody's talked about it though. Chat roast me. I'm sorry.
Oh no! Oh yeah, no, check it out. Great movie, but there's a great scene in there where Leonardo DiCaprio is giving a speech to like all of the people that work at his organization, and he basically is like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And like that is what I picture with Volk for this. It's like you think that Volk is on the way out? Not a chance, brother. I appreciate that aspect of things. And really also what more serious note. I mean, what he's saying about wanting to fight Lerone and Movsar. I think that this is really in like, without having to say the quiet part out loud, him saying, I acknowledge that the Diego Lopez rematch is kind of bullshit. I mean, it's like I'm not fucking leaving exactly. But you know what I'm saying? Like he's acknowledging that, like, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna fight Lopez because that's what the organization wants me to do. But like, I know, we all know that this is kind of dumb. This is being done for a very specific reason. I know who the rightful contenders are that deserve this a little bit more than somebody who I just beat. So like, I think it's a very savvy navigation of saying what he wants to say without having to say it and get in the bad graces of the organization.
Yeah, 100%. This one, whatever it is, Volk, whatever you want to do, I did not enjoy seeing you get knocked out by Islam and or by Ilya, but I really hope that you have a good balance between going on too long and continuing your title reign. Like if you continue your title reign, that's great. But I just don't want to be asking myself why Volk hasn't retired because he's been knocked out in the last three fights. I don't want to see something like that happen. Or, on that losing end of decisions, like once he'll get a split decision against Diego, and then the next one he'll get a unanimous decision loss to, whatever. If he starts slipping downhill, I'm like, please just give it up, please.
Well, I mean, that's the craziest thing about Volkanovski and why he really is one of the greatest of all time. I mean, future Hall of Famer is a fucking understatement, but like in the bigger picture, one of the goats of this sport is because people were thinking that he was already in that position. You know, when the losses happened, I mean, like, you know, everybody's saying, oh, you know, coming off the couch, Volk, and then the you know, and then the loss thereafter. I mean, like, this is you know, these are elements that were questionable and giving people a lot of pause as to, was he on the backslide, on the other side of the hero's journey? As I often say, you know, the sport goes in cycles. Some people are the rare exceptions that can buck those trends, Volk being one of those people. But I do agree with you, you know, if you are a person who roots for the downfall of Alex Volkanovski in this sport, then you're a sociopath as far as
Then
I'm
you
concerned.
clearly haven't seen him with hair.
Well, that too, obviously goated, but you know, either I mean, I think that you have like sociopathic tendencies because he's one of the most likable human beings on planet Earth. But aside from that, like, you know, we also all do not want to see that, what you just outlined there too. So hopefully he also has that in mind, that like when it actually is time, like good on him for knowing that it was not time. You know what I mean? That like, no, I really do still have it, and then going out there and proving it. If it does become time, you got to know that it is, and yeah, don't get into a situation where you're taking massive amounts of losses and going down. You know, because I mean, like somebody like Israel Adesanya learned it the hard way, and now, you know, we're having to see him middle. You know,
True, 100%. Well, speaking of knowing what to do and, you know, working your way back and Israel Adesanya being washed, you know, all these things are facts. Is there anything else more factual than Armin needing to make his way back into a contender again? And the reason that I think that's important to note right here, right now, is because he's just been signing some grappling matches lately. Now, this one is
Yeah.
interesting. So, Shara Bullet is going to take on Armin Sarukian in Armenia, December 30th. The only way to be crowned winner is to submit your opponent. No decisions. Wow, Joe Rogan would love this. I tell you.
I like it too, honestly. If you're going to be, I mean, having just watched UFC BJJ last night, which I was underwhelmed with, to be polite about it, I like the idea of, you know, submission is the only way to win. And that being said, I think that this is a slam dunk for Armin. I mean, you know, his grappling is second to none. Does this do anything for him in the UFC? No, and rightfully so. I'm glad to see him doing, you know, staying active in some way,
Doing
I suppose.
something.
Yeah, exactly. Just, you know, out there being active in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I mean, really not too much to say about this, other than, you know, I mean, I would say that as far as betting goes, you know, I mean, he's got to be a crazy favorite in this fight.
Gotcha. Well, you know, you think this means nothing really, and you think he'll be a crazy favorite in this one. Okay, well, how about the second one that he's doing in December? Yo, yeah, what you thought now? Yeah.
Multi.
And get this, right? Abdulaziz Abdul Vakamban. Okay, either way, Russia's strongest MMA lightweight outside of the UFC. Could you believe it? This is going to be the hardest grappling challenge for Armin yet. This actually happens December 17th, while the Shara one happens December 30th. So, what's the deal here?
Wow. I mean, active. I mean, strongest MMA lightweight outside of the UFC, according to who exactly? That's question number one.
Guinness World Records. I mean,
Yeah, for real, exactly. Is Mr. Guinness himself out there making these assessments? But either way, you know, fine. Again, I guess it's like, great, cool, do that stuff. I mean, really, like, it is good to see him doing anything, considering that Dana has made it very clear that he is still in bad graces and still has to work his way back in, which I think is entirely appropriate based on how he conducts himself. You know, again, not just with the Islam fight, but also the fact that he nearly tanked an entire main event just recently with Dan Hooker, you know, by headbutting him before the fight at the weigh-ins. Armin is a spoiled brat who needs to be put in his place. If this is what it's going to take, then great. But I just don't think that it's going to do anything, and he's going to come back exactly the same.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't really care about this, to be honest. But it is funny to note that he's just out here doing
He's
shit, you
going to be
know.
out here racking up wins outside of the UFC and grappling and adding more accolades to his record, which good on him, because, you know, for all of the shit that I talk about him, considering that he is such a brat, he is an extremely skilled grappler. So, you know, go out and get the wins.
100%. Well, speaking of people who need to go out here and get wins, we actually had some bouts that got announced, and I'll quickly run them down here for you.
Oh, great.
So the first one that got announced, and this one is interesting to note because there's a comment that I want to talk about. This fight right here, Zachary Reese is going to be fighting Michelle Pereira, UFC Houston in February. Any quick notes? And we're going to pick quick victors. We're not going to go into it too much, but just pick who you think has got it real quick. But give a quick.
Oh, this is a tough one. I mean, if Zachary Reese can withstand 30 seconds to a minute of hell from Pereira, then he might have a shot. But you know, Pereira's he's been on such a crazy bad streak lately that it's actually decent matchmaking, I would say. I mean, interesting. Is all I can really say about this one. Quick pick, probably Pajeda, because I think he can do it in that short amount of time.
Let me think on it for a second while I touch on the note about this comment right here. This is
Sure.
this is how I know that, like, yes, there's casuals in every sport, but there's casuals in UFC specifically because, like, when I look at this fight, I'm like, oh, this is two known people. Like, I know who these guys are. Michelle Pereira went from fighting a main event to fighting a UFC 5 generated opponent. When I know that's a very funny thing to say. Like, that's a very funny thing to make about a lot of cans and jobbers that we have in the sport. But it's like, Zachary Reese is pretty known. Like, come on now, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, he's known for getting himself knocked out by getting slammed on his head.
Yeah, I mean, people are known for different things in this world.
I mean, hey, whatever. A claim to fame is a claim to fame, right?
Yeah. So either way,
So what's your flash pick?
Oh yes, you're right. You're right. Sorry. Let me. My flash pick here. I'm gonna go ahead and take Zachary Reese because Michelle is clearly fallen off. But yeah.
Can he make weight? I mean, this
True.
is
That's another thing.
What weight is this at? Do we know? I mean, this
It's gonna
is
be middleweight for
middleweight.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, middleweight. I mean, I'm sticking with my Michelle Pajeda.
Well, speaking of more fights that got announced, chat wanted to jump the gun real quick, so we'll talk about this one next. Of course, we have this is a banger. In Texas, nearly 10 years later, we have Jeff Neal, Kevin Holland. This is a rematch, by the way. So what do you think about this one? Quick picks.
I like this fight. I think that this is a good matchup. Again, Kevin Holland, always the wild card. You never know what you're going to get out of him. But if Kevin Holland is at his best, I think that he is going to be quicker and more crafty than Jeff Neal. However, this fight came up in chat recently, and somebody did make a good point. This is the Kevin Holland that just had a really hard time with D-Rod. And I would say that they're not exactly the same, but some of the attributes that D-Rod has do apply to Jeff Neal. Slower, sluggier, heavy-handed, kind of heavy on his feet too. Like, this is what I'm saying about the craftiness. Kevin Holland, he needs to be moving a lot. And I don't know, he looked like he was trying pretty hard against Rodriguez, had came up short and had a bad time with that fight. I don't know. This one's harder. That throws it into a different light. All things even, I think Kevin Holland wins this fight, but he's just too unpredictable.
I'm gonna go ahead and take my boy Kevin Holland.
You always take Kevin Holland, though.
I'll never switch up. I know. Well, this is a dude coming off a KO too. You got to remember that.
After being knocked out, right? I mean, was that
Jeff Neal? Yeah, he got knocked out.
No, Jeff Neal. Yeah, but I mean, Kevin Holland as well, though. I mean,
Kevin Holland, he did lose to Daniel Rodriguez, and he was coming back. It was fine. It was a shitty first 2-3 rounds, whatever you want to say. Bad performance.
Was that not a TKO that went to decision?
That went to decision.
Okay, I wanted because
and then Mike Malott, he fought and then got kneed in the nuts 3 or 4 times.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, the Mike Malott was the one that I had forgotten about.
Yeah. So I would like to take Kevin Holland initially because that's my boy. Again, wild card, X Factor fighters. You just can't count them out fully. Like, you always got to have in the back of your mind, like, they could do it every way. Like, it's possible. Like, Holland's very good at jiu-jitsu and he does have power in his hands. Decent striker with decent range. I think it's possible and it makes a lot of sense. But
Hart is saying Jeff Neal all day, though. I'm a big Jeff Neal fan.
Yeah, but see, that's what happens in this sport. You can get your heart broken. That's
always.
the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I already told you what my thoughts are on it. It's just, that's just a little extra note.
100%. And so we'll go on to these next fights because we do have some other bangers that are coming along here. So this one I really like. Michael Olajechuk versus Marc-Andre Barriot. This is nice. I like this.
Yeah, I know you're a Barrio fan. Olajechuk is a dude who has, like, he kind of had a fall off, but seems to be, like, building himself back up.
He's a fighting nerd now.
Exactly. And I mean, look, love, hate, whatever you feel about the nerds, you cannot deny that they are helpful to a lot of fighters, that they do have noticeable improvements when they train with fighting nerds. I mean, this has been proven several times now. I mean, granted, it got disproven with Rodolfo Vieira, but for a time in that one fight where his striking was looking really nice, I was like, hey, fighting nerds doing some work there. So Olajechuk maybe a little bit better off for being with the Fighting Nerds more often here. Barrio's a really tough guy. He's a brawler as well. He's a guy that really like is not uncomfortable in the fire, which I do like about him as well. You know, he goes out and seeks out the exchanges. So I like this one. Yeah, I mean, kind of similar in the sense of the last fight that we talked about, in that like I think that Olashechuk is going to be a little craftier. I think his grappling is going to be a lot better if it ends up going that route. Tough one to call, but Olashechuk would be my gut instinct here.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not going to believe that one because GM3 was Michael's last opponent, and he knocked him out in the first round. That's easy. But Barrio, whatever Mark Andre, this guy, he's a Chad. He actually just doesn't. I mean, he got flatlined by Dom Reyes, but that's a very powerful striker, especially when you stand in front of him and you just let him fucking blast you in the face with a straight. Mikel, he'll be okay. He'll be fine for that first round, but he's a dude that's like a make or break first round, second round kind of guy. I think Marc Andre might be able to weather the storm early, and I think he'll be able to do some good work. I like the Marc Andre pick here.
I'm with it.
All right. So, chat, anything? We see Davos with Barry. Easy. Yeah. So, this next one, I think this is another very fun one, but I'll get your opinion.
Mhm.
We got Wang Tong versus Eduardo Moira. Anything you have to say about that?
Yeah, I like this. Moira is a fighter who I have been very, very skeptical of. I think that she has been underwhelming in a lot of her performances against more evenly matched opponents, and then now she's coming off a victory over my girl from Tough, Lauren Murphy. That fight was, Lauren Murphy on her way out the door. It would have been really nice for her to get a victory. She did not. She did have a good moment coming back in that third round against her, though. Moira has never impressed me. Wang Tong has had very impressive moments. Obviously, she's had a little bit of a skid with her loss to Fernandez, but I think that Wang Tong comes back and shows us exactly why she was here in the first place. Go out there and just box the head off of this chick.
No, so here's what I think is going to happen, because I do agree with you. Moira is somebody who is I had high hopes for her because I saw the resume that they were building for her, and I figured that they were feeding her people that was going to make her look really, really good. She comes up against Lauren Murphy and gives Lauren Murphy a winning round in 2025.
Right.
That's very impressive to do. She's clearly not it, but I will say the way that I see this matchup going is Moira holding down Wang Tong for the first 2 rounds, gassing out, then Wang Tong looks phenomenal on the feet and finishes her late. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, either way, whether it's that or Wang Tong going in early and blitzing her, I think that Moira, you're definitely right. She's going to be hunting for legs all day long in this fight. That's just her, that's her default. And she'll probably try to strike, but you don't want to do that with Wang Tong. So, like, I think that will be probably likely that's the way that goes. But whether it's early or late, Wang Tong lands the shots and she puts people out. So, again, we talk about with women, if they've got knockout power, you remember that. That's something that you file away as like, that's somebody to keep an eye on. If they got actual power in their hands, she does. Seems like a no-brainer to me.
Let's be fair. She knocked out her opponent on her debut. She has not done that since.
This is true. You are correct about that. But her striking is nice, and I mean,
it is very good.
Say she's got good kickboxing in general, so
she has the ability to put a pace and volume that if somebody is going to gas out late, like I think Moira will be doing here, I think she'll go ahead and win. I think,
and also this should be after the loss to Fernandez. Like you should know now. I mean, this is going to be a big test of learning from your mistakes. You know what I mean? Because she was very confident going into the Fernandez fight. She had a game plan that looked like it was working for her early, and then the tables turned and she didn't have an answer for it. This is what you need to be aware of in this sport. So, hopefully she learned from the mistakes there. Moira has a very defined, very clear set of attributes that she brings to a fight like this. Like, know what you're getting into, learn from your mistakes, have a better fight this time.
So quickly, who are you taking?
Oh, Wang Tong all day.
I'll take Wang Tong as well here. But this next one may not be as easy. We'll see what everybody has to say. I think this is one of the more exciting things that have been announced, and you may not have even seen this yet because I don't think I saw your comments. So
sure.
We have a new main event heading into Vegas. Mario Batista versus Vinicius Oliveira. What are you thinking?
No, I did not see this one. Yeah, this is new to me. Good fight. This is a tough one for Vinicius, man. I mean, I know that he's like I want to say like he's what's the right word? It's like he's crafty, but like it's like in a very like he's like sneaky. Is how I would describe him. Like he's sneaky. He's very like waiting for the openings kind of guy. Like hands low so a lot of times, like baiting you in. I think he's going to give some problems to Batista. But Batista has also a very defined set of circumstances that he brings to a fight. We've seen him be negated several times with like the way that he approaches his fights. If Batista can get his hands on Oliveira, then maybe there's a chance for him to, cage clinch and get him to the ground, possibly. But like Oliveira is just too ranged and again too sneaky to allow that to happen. I think his movement's going to be a big problem for Batista.
I want to hope. I want to have hope in Mario Batista. I like Vinicius Oliveira, and it's somebody that I've been rooting for a while. But this is definitely the matchup that if Vinny wins, I will have no more questions about him. Even though his style is very unique and he leaves himself open for a lot of a lot of opportunities for somebody to, once they figure out what he's doing, he's going to be susceptible to getting dominated. I think is the better word to say, because the way that his style, his conventional style is wanting you to make mistakes, and if somebody doesn't make those mistakes, I mean, whatever. So I think Mario Batista, I want to hope that he's going to be a little craftier here, and he's going to, because Vinny's going to, he's a walk into the fire type of fighter, but I think to do this accurately, you have to let him do that, but that has to be your game plan. You have to trap him when he's walking forward, not fall into the bait and switch that he's doing. I think Mario Batista might be able to make it a little gritty here for him if he lets Vinny walk into something. If he gets some good elbows going and Vinny walks right into something and just splits him open. Any cuts are going to be really key early on. But 5 rounds, we know Mario Batista has cardio for it. Vinny, we've seen him start gassing out in the 3rd round. So this is
Yeah.
fine.
I didn't even take into account the fact that this is a main event and a 5-round fight. Yeah, that does not necessarily bode well for Vinicius over the course of 5 rounds, I would say, if this starts getting later in the fight. Bautista's correct me if I'm wrong. When was the last time Bautista was knocked out? Like knocked out, knocked out?
Knocked out. Chat, help us out here. I'm not
Yeah,
too
because I mean,
sure.
like, he's not a guy that like screams like paper in that way. He's certainly he's
Latino chin, come on.
yeah, I mean, he's a durable guy. So I mean, like, even if Oliveira is able to get like the errant shots off here and there, I think that it might be more of a problem. The issue that I have with Bautista, 5 round or 3, is that like I don't think that he considers his opponents well enough. Like we saw this very clearly in the Umar fight that like, you knew exactly what Umar was going to do. The game plan is telegraphed from 8,000 miles away, and he fell right into every trap. So that being said, like if he's not considering all of the more creative elements of Oliveira, that I think is going to be a problem. Like or could be a problem going forward through the fight.
I could see Vinny, and I see a lot of John Silva in Vinny for this aspect that I'm going to bring up. Vinny seems like the type of dude, he's confident, he's walking forward, but then when he gets taken down, now it's all smiles and giggles. Ha, I'm having fun. It's when
Right.
John Silva gets taken down by Diego Lopez, he's having a great time. He's laughing his ass off, but he's getting his ass whooped. It's all fun and games now that you're losing. But when you were walking forward, having your little, doing your little thing with your hands down, it was all fun, and you were locked in. You knew what was going on. But then it's playful time once it starts, not going your way. So I think I could see that happening as soon as, the first takedown might not work, but as soon as Mario is able to get a takedown, which I think he will, we're going to see Vinny have a different change of attitude, and he's going to be having a real fun time on the bottom, and it's going to be for a lot longer than anybody's expecting. That's just what
Yeah.
I'm assuming here.
Yeah, and the fact that this is a 5 rounder does kind of play into that a little bit. I might be evolving my thinking a little bit on this, but the one question that I have though is how scared do you think Mario Bautista is, having seen Oliveira knock out his training partners in the gym?
Oh yeah, he's definitely worried, as everybody should be, because Vinicius Oliveira just does not have any mercy. I mean, when it comes to training partners, anybody in the cage, this dude, I mean, hey, whatever you got to say. It's funny because if you were on Twitter around that time when he posted that, Alex Pereira also posted a training video of him knocking out some dude in training or whatever, and
Mhm.
Vinicius Oliveira went on a big old Twitter crybaby rant, like, oh, everybody loves Alex when he knocks out somebody in his training, but I do it and I'm the worst person about, and then Chael commented, and then he starts trying to go back at Chael, but Chael just doesn't respond to him at that point. He already fucking won, like, so whole big thing. I thought it was Vinny. somebody, when he came in and did that flying knee at the end of the third round against Opaj, I'm like, man, that's a good thing right there. That fighter is doing great things. But I've seen him since, and I feel like with the right opponents, the way that he fights could just be exploited.
Yeah, he's figure outable, I would say. And I do like what Hydra's saying here. Vinny going to try and pull some protest antics, and bro is not him. I think that tracks.
I think that is also what I'm seeing here. I'm not saying I know what can beat him, but I'm not the one who figures out game plans. I can tell you there's a coach out there right now who, in their mind, they're looking out for people on their radar. There's somebody who's got a game plan for Vinicius Oliveira because they know at some point he's going to be on the docket for his fighter. So
Sure.
I think, I don't know. I think this will be very interesting. Mario Batista is a veteran, 5 rounds. We've talked about this a lot. We'll save it.
Yeah, I was to say
Take your pick real quick.
flash picks aside, I guess, if we were going that deep.
Yes.
But yeah, after kind of like thinking a little bit through, I think I'm agreeing with you guys. I think I might take Bautista on this one.
Okay. Shout out Bautista. Now we have another 5 round main event that was announced, and a lot of people have questions about this one just because of what happened on Saturday. And I'm sure you have questions right off your head, like what happened on Saturday that we can have a main event for already? Well, here's the case. Brandon Moreno is headlining UFC Mexico.
Yeah, against my boy Asu. I like the fight. I like it based on what we know of what happened in the Tyra fight. I do think that this is a nice kind of like, here, let's get your bet right back, bounce you back. We know that it was a little bit of an early stoppage, like, all of the things that all the fan base is talking about, like this is a response to that, and I think that's good. That being said, I think that this fight is very much another chance for Moreno to spread the wings a little bit more. And Osu is not Tyra, sad to say, and I love Osu Almabayev. I do think that he has a lot of potential. He does need to work on a few things. And the problem with Osu Almabayev at this point is that I have seen the same areas that need improvement several times now, and I'm just worried that he's not actually making those improvements at this point.
I've been saying it. He's a little overvalued at this point for what he is. He had a good skill set when he came in, and what he did well, but he never evolved past what he does well. So I don't know, Brandon Moreno. The reason that he was so it was a coin flip with Tyra is because he's very crafty. Nobody expected that fight to get ended like that. Not even him, of course. But
Sure.
I think quick picks. I'm taking Moreno.
Oh, I think you have to, man. I mean, Moreno, all of the same notes that we had going into the Tyra fight are still applicable here, even more so now that the opponent is not Tyra.
Yeah, this is a good one too. Best way to watch the memory of an early stoppage loss is a quick turnaround headlining at home. I love the headline aspect of it, though. It's not like it's a co-main after you just got knocked out. It's like, well, he's Mexican. We got to go to Mexico. It's Brandon Moreno.
Well, yeah, and I love it for the Mexican fan base. It's like all of those people in Mexico not watching 323. Like, we all saw what happened there, but hey, no, we still love the guy. Let's put him, main event him.
Yeah, hell yeah. But either way, okay. So all fun and games with Brandon Moreno and Asu. We have something else that is not so fun and games because this goes back to an earlier discussion that we were having. But I think this is also a little waffle. I'm not too sure what to take about this. So Michael Morales says that he's fighting Jack Della Maddalena at the White House.
Yes, I saw this. This was a very interesting thing here. I don't know if you have it in the notes as far as the little slip up that Gilbert Burns had. Okay, yeah. If that's not coming up, I can just talk about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Gilbert Burns let it slip that he might be fighting Mike Malott in Canada. And Gilbert Burns has been a person who has leaked information in the past, and got into a little bit of a hot water with the person that he leaked the information about. But not fight news related. But my point in bringing it up is that like these kinds of little slips are interesting because there's two things. One, how true is it that it actually could be the case? And two, if the leak happens, how does the organization respond to that? Do they actually let it go on, or do they slap him on the wrist and say, hey, you shouldn't have been talking out of your face when we didn't announce it? Ariel Helwani was blacklisted from the UFC for a very long time for leaking fight news early. If you recall, I mean, this is back at UFC 200 or before UFC 200. He leaked the news about Brock Lesnar coming back for UFC 200 and was completely blacklisted from UFC events for a very long time. So the organization takes some of these things seriously. At times, at least. I mean, Helwani had extenuating circumstances. My point is, you're not supposed to be doing this. You're not supposed to be the one announcing this news. This is supposed to come from the big man himself. Do they adjust if this is true? But we don't even know if it's actually true or not, because I would think that the White House cards, if this was any other event, I don't think it would have the same value or weight, but it's the White House card. This is, I mean, they're probably guarding that card, like the bouts on that card with their lives right now to make a huge announcement because they want the entire world to know what that card is going to be when it happens. So him doing this, I do not think does him any favors, and it's going to be interesting to see how true it is and if there's going to be any repercussions.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily set on how much I care about it. I mean, it's, JDM is a fun fighter when he gets to strike. Michael Morales knocks people out, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But whether it's true or not, I don't know. It just looks like a little waffle to me. It probably was something that he just said in a passing glance, like, oh yeah, if I was going to fight on the White House, it'd be against Jack Della Maddalena.
Yeah, the context is important, I guess, in this one because we don't really know exactly where, like we don't know the whole like surrounding conversation like around what this the statement was. But yeah, I mean, either way, sure, fine fight if that's what they end up wanting to do. But like I said, I think that there's bigger issues when it comes to the White House card specifically, and you don't want to be fucking with the White House card.
Right. So when Thinker speaks about bigger issues at the White House, so what he means is, so I'm pretty sure the sun actually comes up from a specific side of the building. So when Trump has his lazy boy put out on the lawn, there's obviously going to be a glare. He's going to have to get a special seat. These are the issues that are pressing matters. We can't worry about the
Strategic.
fights. We got to
Absolutely.
worry
It's
about
got it. Yeah, strategic lawn chair placement is very vital for this, especially now that we know for a fact that there are not going to be tickets sold for this event. This is going to be famous people and diplomats, exactly like the administration wants it. So Trump better have a glare-free viewing experience.
And if you wanted to know who is going to be in the cast of these people going to the White House, all you would need to do is wait about 3 months, and they're going to have Fortnite skins, and they're basically going to be running around shooting people in the fucking battle bus or whatever happens in that game.
Yeah, what's the over/under on Kim Kardashian attending the White House card?
Oh, it's going to be over for sure. And she's going to get a +1 too. So she's probably going to bring, oh God, who knows who she brings. Either way, I think it is just very funny that we get an actual event at the White House, and we're going to see fights that happen, and potentially could be seeing 2 non-American fighters right here fight on it. So
Yeah, really good point there. Yeah, what a time to be alive.
well, if anybody else, yeah, Theo Von better be at the White House. That is true. Big
Oh,
fact.
he'll definitely be there.
Well,
I guarantee it.
actually, okay, let's now that this is fun, Kid Rock will obviously be there as well.
Kid Rock, Tucker Carlson,
Zuckerberg,
probably. Yeah, that's a good one.
Elon.
Yeah, Elon, even with their whole little spat that the two of them had, apparently they've made up or whatever.
Kanye, no way Kanye goes.
Nah, Kanye, I think is a little bit too hot water, a little bit too controversial. Maybe though, I don't know. Like that's the thing. It's like you think that it would be too controversial, but at the same time, like
that's the most eyes that'll be on the fucking event.
and like for all of like us saying, yeah, too controversial, those are the exact type of people that do end up showing up, or getting the invite.
So and so where does this umbrella reach to? Are we thinking famous people, or are these going to be the actual important people behind the scenes? The
Both.
dudes that you don't even know that. Well, when you say both, it's not like Jay-Z and Beyonce would be there potentially. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
No. What it is, it's the famous people that have specific ties to the administration. That's what the administration is the epicenter of all of it. Concentric circles going around it. You have your core group of important political figures that will be there, and then famous people who are in the orbit of Trump and his people.
Kash Patel will be there, of course.
Kash Patel will be front and center, guaranteed.
Whatever like the head military guy is or whatever will be there. What's the Mike Pence? Is he still with Trump? Is that not a?
No, that's J.D. Vance.
I'm sorry. I think Mike Pence is the fucking governor of Ohio or something. I don't fucking know. Either way, J.D. Vance.
Yeah. I mean, like all of the core cabinet people will be there. I'm sure that that what's her name, the lady that was there at one of the events, oh god, Tulsi Gabbard, I believe, was at an event. Like if you have ever been in the entourage for the president at a UFC event, you will be there, and then famous people on top of that.
Well, actually, this is going to get into it. So more famous people that are relative to the administration or whatever, could we potentially see, and and I'm going to drop some news for you. I don't know if you were aware. I think we've discussed it before. Linda McMahon is a part of the cabinet at the White House. Are we
Sure.
going to see a Vince appearance?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's an interesting one. That might be
Triple
even.
H, Vince,
Well, okay.
Stephanie.
Look, the two separate things here. So when it comes to, well, first of all, anything TKO related, absolutely. So yeah, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, definitely, because that's brand synergy. They're definitely going to be there to support the UFC and TKO. Vince is the wild card though, because I mean, that we were talking about Kanye being too controversial. I mean, Vince might be legitimately too controversial. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to bounce back. But then again, and I don't want to get to ruffle too many feathers, but the president has himself some issues when it comes to being on a certain list. So maybe Vince, maybe there's some camaraderie there. Just saying.
Well, I mean, Linda has to have her +1. Who else she gonna go with? So I don't know.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
I don't think that her and Vince are very close nowadays. Anyway.
I don't want to get too far into the WWE rabbit hole, but John Cena's final match is tomorrow. What do we think he's going to be at the White House? I mean, what are the odds,
Wouldn't
guys?
matter. We wouldn't be able to see him anyway.
True. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about it. Either way, okay, White House. Yeah, if you think about any other fun people, Ozzy Osbourne is obviously no longer with us. He will not be there. I don't know if there's any Rolling Stones that are left. I don't know if Aerosmith is going to be there. Whatever you want to say about all these people, who's going to be at White House, leave the comments below. Let us know, please.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely interested to know who you think will be on the guest list, since there are not going to be any public tickets released for the event.
Now, speaking of guest lists
Sure.
and potentially other lists, it is Christmas time. There could be the naughty list, there could be the nice list, but there are certain lists that there are not going to be names of people on anymore. And those names of people that are not going to be on said list are LFA, Unified MMA, Lux Fight League,
Okay.
Samurai MMA, and UAE Warriors. The list that I'm speaking of is the actual the checkbook that the UFC writes for them. They are not going to be on Fight Pass anymore, and it's whatever it is. It doesn't mean that they're dying. I feel like everybody, like, when they saw this, they're like, "Oh my god, no more LFA." It's like, well, guys, you can just go watch it. Like, they're not disbanding. Like, the UFC doesn't own them. Like, just go watch
Right.
their shit.
So yeah, let me break this down just a little bit here. Recently, you may have heard myself and Chase saying that Fight Pass was offering a promotion, 3 months for free, no credit card down, with the promo code. Then this news drops. There has been rumors for what feels like years now, but at the very least, the last couple of months, especially since the Paramount deal, that Fight Pass may be being phased out. And this is a major thing, not necessarily for the UFC, but certainly for the promotions that are airing on Fight Pass, and definitely for the fan base. What there's being rumors of is that the catalog for Fight Pass may be sold off as a wholesale product. So the rumors, and this is all purely speculation, but the rumors are that the back catalog of UFC owned properties, that's UFC, Pride, Strike Force, all of the back catalog of library footage that they have, may be bundled and sold to someone like an ESPN, so that ESPN has an additional piece of content for their streaming platform. Of course, ESPN just launched their $30 a month ultra premium package that would feed right into that. Fight Pass ends up getting phased out. No more Fight Pass. Why this is important beyond just where the UFC's content goes is exactly what Chase has on screen right now. Organizations like LFA, organizations like all of the other ones that are listed there, these mid-level MMA promotions that are feeder organizations for the UFC are going to need new broadcast outlets. And what Chase is saying is absolutely true. This is not going to be the dissolution of any of these. LFA is not going anywhere as far as the promotion and their fights go, but where they air is going to be the big question here. There are two possible outcomes that I see from this, with potential for some crazy third thing that I'm not aware of or am not considering. But the two most likely outcomes are either these promotions end up doing their own broadcasts where, we've seen Karate Combat and other organizations who go straight to YouTube. There are other ones that have other partnerships. Amazon, other organizations like that could pick them up. That's the other more likely thing, is that they end up having to get other partnerships for their broadcasts, or they broadcast solo. Or barring some third thing. But that the third thing could also be that there's another bigger organization like an Amazon that takes it wholesale. and takes all of these promotions down as one and becomes the new Fight Pass, so to speak, for all of these smaller level promotions. So that is why this is all very interesting. Like, if you are a fan of regional MMA and are considering the lower rungs of the sport, the feeder organizations, I would be keeping a pretty close eye on this.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But this is just interesting to see what the UFC, what they're going for going forward. They still have Fight Pass, but everything the UFC related is going on Paramount. So eventually, are they just gonna get rid of Fight Pass and just move all their things over to one specific streaming that they're using currently, whether it's Paramount, or after 7 years they have. I don't know, like, what's the deal that they're going on with Fight Pass. I don't know. Like you said, they gave us 3 free months, and then they just got rid of the shit that people were watching for 3 free months. So whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, this goes a lot farther than these organizations here. I mean, WoW, Elia Toporia's organization out of Spain, Tough Enough. I mean, the list goes on. Cage Warriors. There's a whole mess of fight promotions that are airing specifically on Fight Pass. In fact, a lot of those promotions, if you are an organizer of MMA on a lower regional level, the goal is to get to Fight Pass for a lot of them. You want to get big enough to the point where you can get a broadcast partner like Fight Pass, because other than that, you're trying to go at it alone, or you're going to have to try to get another broadcast partner, and that doesn't necessarily yield eyes to the promotion. A good example of this, being that I'm so involved on the back end of these things, Campbell McLaren is a co-founder of the UFC from way back in the day. He's involved with a promotion called Combate Global. They air on a network called Estrella, which is a Spanish language network broadcast outlet. Their promotion is solely in Spanish. That partnership airs to however many 33 states and X amount of Spanish markets. If you are not in those markets, how do you access that? I've been wanting to watch Combate Global. I've actually told Campbell McLaren directly, I'm like, I would like to be a consumer of this product. How do I, as a person outside of those regions, get involved, to have access to it? These promotions might run into a similar problem. You end up with a broadcast outlet that has region locks or specific distribution models that make it harder for the consumer to get to. That could be the detriment for these guys, when Fight Pass was the easy, everybody can access it, everybody has access to it.
Yeah, it's just crazy. We're gonna see what happens. I'm interested to see what going forward we're gonna see with Fight Pass. It's not something that I personally have ever been a consumer of, even with the 3 free months. But LFA, I know a lot of people were here for that, and the fact that UFC Fight Pass doesn't have it anymore. I mean, I would say there's not going to be many people that continue their subscription after the 3 months, because that's what they were here for.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it, and I don't think that I've ever really like dug too deep into it, because a lot of what I've been doing watch-alongs for are the ones that are airing live for free on YouTube. It's been great, really. For, like, I mean, you want to talk about a distribution model that makes sense if you want to get your name out there. There's a lot that comes with that. You need sponsors, you need ways to make money, you need to monetize your events in a way that can keep you whole. But at the same time, as far as for the consumer side of things, it's great. We get, I started a watch along. I have a link to the event right there. You can click that. You put the watch along on one screen, you put the event on another screen, and you're set to go. Yep. So Fight Pass, it's unfortunate, because it really, like, for the longest time has been the premier outlet for these lower level promotions. And if that's going away, this could be a major shakeup for anything that's not UFC branded.
100%. Speaking of major shakeups, there's actually one more fight announcement that we didn't get to talk about. Chat actually reminded us real quick. Yeah, yes. So Moicano and Brian Ortega at 155 this is a rematch. They fought at 145. Brian Ortega got a late submission, and now the chat is seeming to believe that Brian Ortega wouldn't be surprised if Ortega won via sub and looks amazing at 55. I don't know if I believe it, because in the first fight it looked like Brian was getting his face battered, as he always does. So
I mean, and are we talking about the same Brian Ortega that just came off of one of the worst performances of all time in a 5-round fight?
I went to sleep. That's how bad that was.
I mean, yeah, against Aljamain Sterling, a fight where Aljamain Sterling literally stopped the fight to give Ortega the chance to recover so that it could be a more entertaining fight. I mean, Brian Ortega has the drop off for Brian Ortega has been nothing short of bizarre in ways. I mean, it's one thing to see Brian Ortega getting his face beaten by Diego Lopez. That's what's supposed to happen. The fight with Aljamain Sterling was an entirely different beast. And so to think that Brian Ortega comes back better after all of that, I mean, also, this is, again, the same Brian Ortega that caused the Dan Ige Diego Lopez fight to happen by pulling out. There's issues with Brian Ortega, brother. I mean, like, and
Well, he's going to 55, so there's your...
Okay, well, I'm not even just talking about weight issues, my man. I mean, this is the very similar conversation to what we had about Jalen Turner. And again, I say it every time, but I have to preface it the same way. I am very, I'm very keenly empathetic to people who have things going on mentally. Brian Ortega has been very open about his mental struggles in the past. I just it seems like, in fact, really, if you look at it, the way I was looking at the Jalen Turner situation almost stems from people like Brian Ortega to an extent, because Brian Ortega is a guy that I don't think has ever fully gotten past the hurdles that he is dealing with. And I mean, you can say that it's the weight, you can say that it's this element of it, whatever combination of those things you want to bring into the equation. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, there are issues with Brian Ortega, and I just can't see that boding well against Moicano, who is just, I mean, he's almost too dumb to have mental issues.
Yeah, facts of the matter, Moicano's not great, but Brian Ortega, we know for a fact, doesn't have great striking, gets punched a lot, doesn't have great takedown defense, doesn't have the great takedowns himself. He has great jiu-jitsu. That is about all you can hang your hat on with
And he's
Brian
tough.
Ortega. I was gonna say that's the other thing I was gonna say. He's very gritty. He's got heart. He's tough. He's not gonna quit. But listen, that you need more than that at the top of the game. Like we've talked about that before. You can have the heart of a champion, but you at the UFC at the highest level, it maybe in the regionals, having heart can get you a lot. I even talked about with our Mongolian guy. You in certain levels of the game, heart can carry you to a victory. But at the UFC level, and I think it should be this way, the UFC level, heart, you have to have some skill to go with the heart. It can't just be all heart, no skill. Brian Ortega is leading more to the lesser of the skill set and more of the heart, but he needs to actually do something good in other aspects of the game. Thankfully, Moicano's not great also. So.
Well, and that was going to be my counterpoint, I guess, just to play devil's advocate here is, I mean, what's the percentage of chance that because of the toughness of Brian Ortega, that Moicano ends up gassing his arms out to the point that they can't move, and then he's noodle armed in the third round? Is that a 5-round fight, or is it a 3-rounder?
Yeah, it's going to be 3.
Okay, if it's a 3-round fight, then maybe, I don't know. I guess we still saw it in a 3-round fight, so I guess the same notes still apply. I mean, Moicano gassing himself to the point that he can't use his arms anymore. Brian Ortega late submission, maybe.
I think it's definitely possible. I mean, we'll get into it when the time comes. This is a fight that may or may not even happen at this
right.
point.
Yeah, and right, and Brian Ortega needs to make it to the fight.
True. I mean, that's been a thing that he struggled with the last couple times. So yes, we'll get into that when the time comes. There's one last, and when I say last, I mean chat. You need to start thinking about what else we're going to talk about if there's more that we need to discuss, because this right here is the last thing that I have about the weekly news. So I want to play this video. Haven't played it yet, but this is a very important, crucial note in the game of UFC. This is a legend. This is a Hall of Famer, and with White House right around the corner, this is somebody that you potentially could be seeing on that card. So everybody, strap in.
What up, Rex? What up? Who you fighting next?
Shit, I'm looking at Pimlet. Probably Pimlet.
Okay, what do you think?
The return of the king. Is he really thinking that he is going to get Paddy Pimblett on the White House card? Is that the implication here, or he's just saying that that's what he wants in general?
I think he's also in the slew of people that are like, White House. Yeah, I got to be on that. I'm a legendary fighter. I could fight on the White House.
I mean, him and Paddy Pimblett as the opening of the early prelims. I mean, come on, dude. Like, give me a fucking break. What am I supposed to think here? You tell me what you think.
Well, Paddy Pimblett has been fighting 40-year-olds for the past 2 years now, so
that tracks.
It's not the craziest thing. Nate Diaz does somewhat have some good grace in the UFC, I'm sure. Will he get Paddy? Probably not. But if Nate Diaz does want to get himself, if Nate Diaz can sell the fact that he's going to beat Pimblett and he's going to move up and beat Hamzat finally, I'll be down for it. But I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we're thinking about this logically, and I'll try to be as kind as possible to old Nate over here, ground game is, I mean, he is a very, very skilled grappler. In his time was obviously a dude who you're going to have to kill to get out of there. I mean, he will bleed out before he ever quits in a fight. So, I mean, the potential for him to go in there and just slug it out with Pimblett, or it becomes a really, high level jujitsu match after all things considered. I mean, I don't think Nate Diaz ends up in the Bobby Green triangle arm bar, of course, that's not going to happen. So there is potential for it to be maybe more entertaining than I'm making it out to be. But like, again, we just talked about Henry Cejudo and how a lot of people have this image of Cejudo from 2019. I think Nate Diaz army is stuck in, 2007. You know what I mean? Like they're stuck so far back when it comes to the Nate Diaz that they have in their mind that like we're not even considering the reality of right now if they're thinking that there's going to be any kind of like real high level things going on with a Nate Diaz fight in the UFC in 2025, let alone on the White House card.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, there's people who know Nate Diaz because he's the guy who got beat up by Jake Paul. Like that's the unfortunate part of the situation at this point. We're so far into Nate Diaz's career that he's into boxing now. He's done lost to streamers, now he's
I was
trying
gonna
back into MMA.
Yeah, I was going to say too. It's not only just the Jake Paul, but then I mean anybody who had the terrible misfortune to sit through his boxing match with Jorge Masvidal certainly saw what I saw in that, which is, I mean, what were we doing here? Like, and my point in saying that is like, yeah, can he come back to MMA and maybe have something different, a different look in a fight like that, perhaps? But like the optics of seeing this dude I mean, that was like what, a 10 rounder or something like that. It was a long plotting affair, and you have now the stigma of not only losing to Jake Paul, but going through this long, pointless, plotty performance against Jorge Masvidal that ultimately ended in a decision. What's the point of any of this?
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know. It's just a funny video that popped up. Why Patty Pimblett is the guy? I don't know.
He's
Obviously,
constantly doing that, though. He's constantly saying, "Oh, I'm going to come back and fight this guy. I'm going to come back and fight this guy." He's just like, it really gets to the point where he's the old man on the porch, just
yeah,
calling out all the young bucks in the yard. Like, dude, put up or shut up. Get yourself back in there or don't. But like, you make us care, Nate. Like, because I
yeah,
mean, trust the sport. Nate Diaz, granted, like he has reason to have the self-perception that he has in his mind. There are reasons that he might carry himself the way that he does, and why fans have their perception of him as well. But the sport moves on, and
yeah.
like you can only be the Nate Diaz of old for so long. Like, either come back and prove it, or just shut up, let the sport go, man.
True, 100%. Yeah, I definitely agree with that part. But I'm a big Nate Diaz fan. I'm not gonna lie. So maybe if he
That's
makes a
what he
comeback,
banks on, though. That is exactly it. That's how he gets to be the guy that he is because he has the fans, that he's made the fan base. Like, this is kind of a spicy take, and I'll say it here now just because we're talking about it. But like, I've always been kind of like, I've never fully understood why Nate Diaz has the cult following that he has. Intellectually, I get it. I do, like, he's just this dude who, he's a meathead who goes in there and fights with his hardest. I get that part of it. But like, when it comes to the way that he carries himself as just this like no nonsense guy who has no sense of humor, like he's more of a character than he is like an active competitor, like as far as now goes, at least. So like, I mean, I think again, clinging to a version of Nate that is no longer here. I can understand being a fan, but I personally have never gone down that road. Like, especially like, I'll tell you exactly why. There was a time that I was doing a YAM episode where I wanted to use a clip of Nate Diaz for whatever reason. I forget exactly what the context was, but I tried to listen to a Nate Diaz interview. Have you ever tried to do that?
oh yeah, he's got CTE already. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, the dude can barely string a sentence together. Like, this dude really is just that much of a meathead.
See, yeah, Hydra breaks it down. It's the same reason Kevin Holland has fans. He smokes weed. He doesn't really give a shit. He goes in there and fights harder than the people who do give a shit. And he'll sometimes beat the greatest fucking athletes in the sport. Dude, he literally choked out Conor McGregor before Habib did. Like whatever you want to say. Like, and that's like a crazy And then to get on the mic, I'm not surprised, motherfucker. Shit like that. Some things build, they have a character of their own. Obviously you watch Nate Diaz, if he live streamed his life every single day like Rampage does right now, yeah, you'd be like, golly, this dude has fucking problems. But It's not really about that, dude. We love him because he was a fighter. He went in there and he did the damn thing, and he had a unique style, and he had a brother that also had a career. There's just a lot to the legacy. I'm not in the Nate Diaz army, but like when I look at this video and you talk about him in talking in interviews, like he's just a funny dude. Like you can tell that like he's not the most educated, not the most intelligent, sure, but like he enjoys the way that he's funny in the way that he acts himself, and I think that's key. They're like, the interviewer, they're like, so such and such and such. He's like, well, I'm just like way better and cooler than those guys. Like, like like, when they named out clearly the people that are gonna beat him, he's like, well, I'm just fucking cooler than them. He gets it, he gets it, but also like you can just understand that this is just the embodiment of what a fighter could be. Like when I think of somebody who needs fighting, right? They need to be paid off of fighting. I think of this guy right here. Imagine him behind the McDonald's counter. Dude, he literally like seriously. And
no other career paths. I get it.
And I'm not trying to say it in a way that sounds like that, but like these are the type of people that need professional fighting, is because if not, he's gonna be in prison. Like, like I don't know what to say.
Perhaps. Yeah, I mean, okay, like fair enough then. Put all your support that you want behind old Nate, and hopefully if he really is trying to actually train and come back, then make it entertaining and have the lore extend that much farther, continue the mystique and the myth of Nate Diaz. Like you can have that. Like if you want it, go ahead and have it. I'm certainly not here to rain on anybody's parade, but it just doesn't jive with me.
These two comments. He's probably a few bong ribs deep, fantasizing on the heavy bag. Give Gramps a break. That one's really funny. And then the next one. Imagine being a bum on a couch, smoking illegal weed, watching Nate choke out the biggest star ever. Yeah, no wonder he's got fans. Literally, yeah.
I mean, like again, dude. Like I said, if that's your paradigm, if that's your set of dynamics, and that's what is appealing about it, then by all means, again, I'm not here to try to say that you're wrong for having those feelings. I just don't share them personally.
And then another classic clip of Nate Diaz, Hamzat, quit talking about me, man. My boy right here will fuck you up. Yeah. So Nate Diaz, listen, he's somebody that is before my time. I've seen his episode of Tough, or his season of Tough. There is, and I'm glad that he's somebody that, again, the embodiment of a fighter. This is the professional fighter. This is not a professional MMA specialist. This is not a mixed martial artist. This is a fighter right here. I mean, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, yes, but grade A fighter when he gets into the cage. Like this is somebody who's truly, he's gritty, man. I like Nate. So
BMF for a reason, right?
Was he? No.
No,
Yeah, he
no.
got it was a leg kick TKO or something.
It was a doctor stoppage for Jorge.
But either way, yeah. So that was the last of the week. I think, obviously, rounding it out with Nate Diaz is in typical fashion, him keeping his name relevant for when he's not even active on the roster. But
I mean, and continuing to just do that over and over and over again. I mean, how many different people has he randomly called out? And we don't know if he ever actually is coming back or not, but he still keeps himself relevant just by yelling names out and hitting the heavy bag.
100%. Yeah. So this one was a fun week.
Indeed. Well, I appreciate all of the quality stories that you brought to the table this week, Chase. Again, this is the Free for All, so chat. If there's anything that we missed that you would like to go over, please let us know before we close this thing out. But I think that was a good crop of current events for us to go through here. I'm glad we got to some of those fight announcements and talking about the White House card. We still got a little while to go before the White House card, so more elements going to be put out into the public over time, and we're going to see what all that's about.
And so before we wrap it up, there's a couple things, and then I'll ask you a question, but I would like to go ahead and, make our announcements one more time. Hermanson, Goldfish. I'm not like, it's because, God damn it. The comments initially, they fucked me up. Listen, Hermanson, the fish. I'm sorry, dude. I didn't know they were animals. I didn't mean to make this a whole thing. Now I can't stop thinking about it. The fish, rest in peace. Seriously.
Indeed. Sigma, we certainly, we appreciate and empathize with your loss there, my man. And, the memory will live on. And as I had said at the start of this, as long as you were as good of a pet owner as you could have been, that's all anybody could ask for. So RIP to your
yes. And absolutely. Another one that I wanted to touch on before we go, the Bisping family, again, respect,
Absolutely, yeah.
much support. Hopefully, everything is gonna get cleared up, and hopefully, this was just some sort of scare in a sense. But we do hope for the best on that one. And then, of course, Alexander Pantoja. Hopefully, speedy recovery, of course. And I'm trying to think if there's any other people that we had some tragedies about. Oh, Francis and his PFL career. Yeah, we can play a piece to that. Yeah.
Yeah, put the candles up for that one. But no, for Bisbing, of course, obviously, yes. That. Hope keep me posted on that. I mean, definitely, for anybody out there, keep us all posted. If you hear anything about it, let me know. And obviously, our hearts are with the Bisbing family right now. Hopefully, everything works out.
And then Davos cover Spivak and Ante canceled. Interesting. I did not hear that was canceled.
I didn't even hear that got announced. Was that supposed to be? When was that coming up?
Maybe I didn't hear that was announced. I feel like Spivak had a different fight. I thought he was supposed to fight Shamil, right? And then Waldo stepped in. Is that how that worked? I think
No, we had said that we were speculating who Waldo should fight, and we said that it should be Marcin, and it was actually no, yeah, it was I guess going to be Spivak because that was what we had said. It was we thought Tyburo would have been the good one. It got announced as Spivak, then it turned into Derek Lewis. I think was the timeline. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
either way, yeah, no, that was be a decent fight. Unfortunately for Spivak, he's a Chad and he never takes the easy route to a victory. He only faces fucking strikers that can knock him out. I don't get well, Jailton Almeida wasn't, but he still knocked him out. So that's the unfortunate part about Spivak. But
No, announced for 325. Oh, so I saw Davo saying that he's got tickets to 325 out there in Australia. So congratulations for that. Yeah, that being canceled does kind of suck. I wonder if anybody is going to get rebooked off of that. Like, do we know why it was canceled? I mean, like, is it like somebody pull out specifically, or they just decide to scrap the fight? Dalia, of course, is needing to kind of bounce back after what happened with Waldo. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do that. Really, what I think the issue with Dalia is that we have not seen him tested in like deep waters just yet. Basically he went into the Waldo fight doing exactly what he did in his first fight, and then it got tables turned after the eye poke situation, all that. But someone like Spivak could have maybe taken him into a little bit of a deeper situation, being that there's grappling involved with him there. Apparently also a very high level grappler and wrestler. I mean, that's what he was known for more so in PFL, if I'm not mistaken. So, so maybe he does have more to his game, but that I think is the unfortunate element of that fight being canceled, is that Spivak probably would have given him the fight that we would have needed to see him tested the way that we need to see.
yeah, absolutely. So unfortunate for that to get canceled, but 325, I mean, it looks like it's shaping out to be fine. I'm excited for the main event, and of course, one more time, if we're shouting out everything, shout out Volkanovski and his beautiful luscious hair that he gets to have for his movie role. Too bad he won't get to wear it in the cage.
Yeah, I'm looking over. I've got 325 pulled up here. I mean, I don't want to, obviously we're going to talk about it on the
Yeah.
last week's fights podcast and all of that, so we don't need to go into all of it. But a couple of decent fights on here. We had talked about Dan Hooker and Benoit Saint Denis getting announced for that as the co-main. I mean, this is Dan Hooker coming back after a pretty decent, trouncing by Armin. BSD coming in, possibly doing the same thing. I mean, I think that it's good. What I will say about any of the cards that happen in Australia and New Zealand is that anytime that they are down there, they play to the hometown crowd. You're always going to get as good as they can get, depending on the situation, depending on who's booked elsewhere and all that. The UFC really does try to give the fans of that region the fights that are going to be hometown hero kind of situations. So your guys are going to be well represented between the two countries, and that's what they're trying to do with this card as well, it looks like. So, you've got, the cast of characters that you know and love. You got your Tai Tuivasas, you got your Jimmy Crutes, Quillen Salkilled. I mean, like, really, all of the people that you would expect to be on a card like this are there. So, at least good for that. Like, whether the card ends up being great, who knows?
100%. No, I definitely agree with everything you said.
So, all right. Well, and of course, as I said, we will talk about that in due time. So we don't necessarily need to bog down the end of the show here. Shout out to TJF coming in at the tail end of this thing. Appreciate you, brother. Anything else? I mean, like I said, this is pretty much your time here, chat. So if there's anything else that you want to talk about now, let us know. And if not, we can bring this thing to our inevitable conclusion here.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought this was a fun one. I like doing a good little recap here of getting a lot of good news out and about that we get to discuss. Because other than them just being flooded into the Discord and have a little passing comment, it's it's fun to have a discussion
Oh,
about a lot of these.
I know something that we didn't talk about that I thought maybe would have come up today, but did not. Conor McGregor, married man now.
Nice. At the Vatican. I don't know what
At the
that means.
Vatican. Yeah, Vatican City. Well, Connor is a saved individual now as well, Chase. I'm sure you know that. We talked about that on the show before, leaning into his newfound religion. But yeah, finally putting a ring on D. Devlin after all of these years. Kind of a long time coming, I would say, but I guess congratulations to the happy couple.
Yeah, hopefully they got to drive out of the place with their Lamborghini and their cans that say just married hanging out the back or whatever.
There you go. Yes, they drove directly out of Vatican City into the heart of Rome or wherever in Italy, and cans clanking behind them.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Dee Devlin for finally getting the ring after all that she has put up with that man. What I had said in the Discord about it, and I do think rings very true, is that Dee Devlin is the most ride or die woman that you have ever seen on the face of this planet. People would say, "Oh, the money, the money, the money." Yeah, I'm sure that the money is part of it, but Dee Devlin was with Conor McGregor before they had anything. So, I mean, she's been with him through every controversy that he has gone through in his life, no matter money or otherwise. Because, the thing is that I'm sure that even without the ring, there would have been ways for her to get a payday out of anything, whatever. Dee Devlin, if you follow any of the stuff that had been going on with the controversies, she stands by her man. This is not her, sitting in silence and being a suffering individual in this situation. Like, she is in it with Conor. Like, she's in it with him. Like, they're tight. Like, this is not a facade that she's putting on. Like, they are legitimately an in it to win it couple. So I gotta say, for all of Conor's faults, he picked a real one.
I think what I'm going to go ahead and run with, and I'm going to publicly say this because I'm tarnishing a career here. I think why Dee Devlin stays with Connor is because she was unable to find some guy out there that loved whatever fetish she's into, and Connor is the one. That's going to be my
slanderous.
That's going to be mine. I mean, it's got to be something crazy, right? Like, I mean, they were decently, how long they've been together. She had whatever you want to say. She had a life before Connor. She was probably out there experimenting, and Connor
not
came
really,
around
man.
and she liked to peg him. Who knows?
Perhaps. I mean, I think that, again, this is all wild speculation, but I mean, she again, they were together you say she had a life before him. I mean, very briefly, they were together when he was a pipe fitter. You know what I'm saying? He was an apprentice plumber back in the slums of Ireland kind of thing. Like, she has been with him since day one, really. Definitely day one of his fighting career for sure. So, I mean, for all of the memes aside, I mean, I really do think that it's kind of crazy that he was able to, because I mean, think about that, like that aspect of things, like really, like you think about any other woman that would be like with a man like that, and how many other powerful men we have seen with millions and millions of dollars who have been in similar situations where the women will, regardless of the money, will walk away from that. She has been there through thick and thin, and that is a lot more thick and thin than other relationships have ever had to go through. So I got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. So, Connor, let us know what fetish it is just so I can stop wondering at night. That's all that I'm asking.
And great irony that we talk about that with Nate Diaz on the screen.
Nice.
All right, then I guess that is that's the last thing that I wanted to at least throw out there. So if that's all that we got, then forever hold your peace, and we will come back. I guess plugs for anything else. We've got fights tomorrow, of course. We will be on our individual watch-alongs for that. I think that I'm going to be solo again for this last event of the year, so I will be here at youtube.com/@YamaShow. And Chase, where will you be?
I will be on the same platform, youtube.com/@CPSmalls, and we will be watching UFC tomorrow as well, and it'll be a good time. So everybody out there, hopefully you're going to be joining us.
Make sure that you are following my boy Chase and subscribe to his channel if you are not already. youtube.com/@CPSmalls. Hit that subscribe button after we are done here. Other than that, new content coming out. We are discussing all of what we are going to be doing for MMA winter that we are coming into. 6 weeks, no UFC. Trust that your boys will be active. So, there might be a lull when it comes to the fights, but there's not going to be a lull when it comes to the content. So we got
100%.
things in the works. If there is a film that you want us to review for MMA on Film, let it be known now in the Discord, because we are getting ready to start formulating our plans for the next episode of MMA on Film, and we would love to consider whatever you've got for that. So, let us know about that. And other than that, we've got more last week's fights coming out on Monday and plenty of other stuff. I will be doing full reviews of Bryce Mitchell's podcast as well. That's going to be pretty fun. So, all good.
And about 30, 45 minutes before is normally when Thinker goes.
For starting events. Oh no, I'm 10 minutes generally is when I start before
I'm
UFC
sure
events.
you've been early before.
For other non-UFC ones, yeah, but for UFC events, I'm usually on about 10 minutes early.
Gotcha. All right. Well, there you go, chat. Davos, be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep your eyes out. Make sure you click that little bell notification button there on the channel as well. You turn that bell on, you get your notifications, and
Yeah, you'll know exactly when it's going live.
There
10
you
minutes
go.
before.
Exactly. So do all of those good things, everybody. Thank you very much to everybody who hung out with us today. This chat was really cool, and these were some good times that we had here. So much appreciated. We'll see you tomorrow for the fights. Till then, fight on.
Game.